A new tornado warning has been issued. A new tornado warning has been issued.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Hey, Addie, how's it going tonight? I hope everything's good there. Let's get this going here. All right. Just got back to the weather studio. Wow, that was a crazy day. Actually, went out and got some storm chasing done today. Even saw maybe a wispy NATO earlier. I gotta look at some radar data after tomorrow and see if I actually saw something. But it's been a crazy day across the central U.S. There's tornado warnings in south central Missouri, pushing out of southwest Missouri. There's been a couple confirmed tornadoes in the US 65 corridor here into the Ozarks this evening. So those storms are continuing to move basically east of US 65 and along the I-44 corridor up to the north and to the east. I see Addie's question there. The storm in Springfield, Missouri, towards the Poplar Bluff area. It does not look like it right now. These storms are mostly lifting with the low pressure over the central U.S. up. That color doesn't work really great. Get the white in there. Up and basically kind of paralleling the I-44 corridor. So the southern cell near Ava, Missouri right now, it's going to continue lifting up towards those areas into south central parts of the state. A little bit of showers and storms across eastern Missouri, but those will clear out. There's going to be more storms, though, in the next couple of days across this general area. It's going to be kind of a off and on, messy, stormy, at least early part of the week. But severe weather should settle down a little bit. Into the Dakotas, we have a potential Derecho. We'll have to see if that verifies. It depends if there's hurricane force wind gusts, essentially 70, 75 plus mile-an-hour wind gusts on about 250-mile path, separated by at least several miles. So it's not just like one storm, but it looks like we do have a pretty good swath of damaging winds. Considerable threat for 70-mile damaging winds now from the Canadian border in western North Dakota all the way down into basically the South Dakota, North Dakota border around McIntosh, South Dakota. Some other cells also back into eastern parts of Montana, areas around Gillette, Wyoming, and then the northwest corner of South Dakota. We do have a random storm. Actually, thinking about it, one of the models showed a random kind of supercell out in this part of Nebraska, the Nebraska Panhandle, earlier today. I think that was the HRRR around lunchtime, so it looks like that model got that spectacularly correct. Location is not always super accurate with models, but we also have potential tornadoes up into Canada. There's tornado warnings, various tornado warnings in Canada right now, including that area just to the east of Estevan, and that's lifting to the northeast. Basically, the continuation of the tornado warning in the extreme northern parts of the U.S. This is an observed tornado, looks like, as well. So, all right, let's get out of the MRMS, and we do have a couple tornado warnings on this Bow Echo. Again, they are confirmed. Correlation coefficient's kind of messy in there. Is this a radar confirmed, or is it a spotter confirmed? But if there is one, it's likely still right in here, basically along Highway 2, about to cross into Canada. So Canada has a tornado warning for these storms that are lifting out of the North Dakota area. There it is. Yeah, just south of Highway 2 a little bit ago. Let's play this forward. Broadened pretty quick. It actually may be moving very quickly and is now in Canada. Yeah, 904, and it jumped quite a bit. So it's jumped across the border. If there is a tornadic circulation, that's moving very quickly off to the north and northeast.
Has been issued.
Another tornado warning radar indicated by Noonan. That one looks like it's broadened out. They're probably just going to let that one. Yeah, that tornado warning expires. There is broad circulation also there along North Dakota Highway 5, riding just south of the Canadian border. It's going to be passing just a couple miles south of Estevan, about 17 to 18 miles south of Estevan, Saskatchewan. That's going to continue riding the North Dakota border there. And we have a big line of severe warn cells. Look at the wind in here. Hey, Colorado, how's it going? Yeah, there's definitely some 70 to 75 mile an hour winds in there. Considerable threat and pretty close to the radar sites. That's a pretty accurate reading. Over 70 mile an hour winds potentially in here towards Des Lacs. This is the Minot Metro. Yeah, approaching Minot, North Dakota.
A new flash flood warning
Deering,
has been issued.
Glenburn, Lansford, Carpio, and then basically down the US 83 corridor. That's some dangerous surge of wind in here. Ward County, you want to treat that similar to a tornado warning west of the Minot area. Again, there's Minot, North Dakota. That's going to be coming into Minot pretty quickly there. So yeah, if you're in that Minot area, you do want to treat that similar to a tornado warning. Be in a sturdy structure, permanent structure, away from windows. Make sure there's no trees around your property. And then a solid line of 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, Garrison, Riverdale, Hazen, Stanton, Washburn, Underwood, Max, anywhere there basically along US 83 and to the west in North Dakota. Some other cells back behind that leading edge warned for 60 mile an hour gusts. Look, a little bit of more hail in there near Halliday and Golden Valley. And then we pick up more 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Center areas along 94. This is the Mandan Bismarck area. So these are closing in on the Bismarck Metro in the next hour or so. What is the forward speed on these? Probably fairly quickly. East at 45. There's some of your locations there. Bismarck, about 38 minutes. That's downtown Bismarck. And Mandan, South or North Dakota, that's about 30 minutes. And if you're on the east side of the Bismarck Metro, Lincoln, about 40, 45 minutes into those locations. There looks like some outflow boundary down on this side of the cluster of storms. That's a good sign. It may be a sign that these slowly start to weaken, but it's also a sign that there's some really heavy rain-cooled winds that are gusting out ahead of these storms. So that's going to continue to show these high wind gusts in here, and more areas here that have potentially some pretty gusty winds. Misclicked right there. I want to use a different tool. Yeah, pretty close to the radar site down here near the Bismarck area, seeing 70 plus mile an hour winds. Also in this complex of storms, some gusts down here, 75 to 80 miles an hour. So potentially some really strong winds continuing here. And then this is one of the situations where there's a little bit of a wake low back in behind this MCS. So there's still gusty winds. We saw this last year with a few of these Derecho type events. Even behind the leading edge, there's still really gusty winds in here to 60 to 70 miles an hour. So considerable threat continues across northwestern parts of North Dakota. Divide, all those counties, Burke, Divide, McKenzie, Montreal, Williams, and Dunn counties with 70 mile an hour winds, quarter-size hail in some of those cells. Pick that up down into southern and southwestern North Dakota, Carson down to the state line there around McIntosh. Some other strong cells back north of Rapid City. And then picking up a considerable threat, supercell here near Sidney, Nebraska, lime-size hail. A little bit of broad rotation, but this is not a super favorable tornadic area between Potter and Sidney on I-80. That is a hail producer, and potentially some larger than lime-size hail potentially in that. Look at the echo tops, and that's pushing about 50,000 feet. So definitely has a large updraft. I think it's a little more. Yeah, there's been a couple different cell mergers in there, so it does have broad rotation as it's incorporated a couple different cells together there. But that is still a dangerous cell moving towards the Bridgeport, Oshkosh, Gurley, not South Dakota, Nebraska. It's in the Nebraska Panhandle. All right, so that's a very quick look at those storms. The Ozarks today have had a lot of rounds of storms and rain. There are flash flood warnings across the Springfield Metro, Pleasant Grove, Fair Grove, Stratford, Sparta, Highland, Clever, Aurora, Crane, Republic, and the entire Springfield Metro area. Flash flood warnings there. 1 to 3 inches of rain, it looks like, have fallen in a fairly short amount of time. So yeah, quite it's very moist in this area. There's a lot of heavy rain. These storms are producing actually quite a bit of rain themselves. And let's go take a look at these. Radar indicated tornado warning continues here. These storms have actually worked into more of a kind of a cluster of storms with a little bit of a calm ahead low in here. Yeah, it's kind of a broad circulation at the moment, a big windy kind of mezzo. Earlier, there was a more discrete cellular look at things. Let's step it back a little bit. And yeah, this was earlier near the Marshfield and Conway areas about an hour ago. That area has really broadened out. They're going to continue that tornado warning, though, even though it is just broad rotation at the moment. That is also some damaging winds riding up along the I-44 area.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
Douglas, Webster, Wright counties, new tornado warning there. Yeah, I want to get down to that cell because that cell looks a little bit more interesting in Missouri. But yeah, this was more tornadic earlier, just to the west of Lebanon, Missouri. You can see there the kind of what was left of that tornadic signature. It's more just a calm ahead. It's a big windy rotating thunderstorm, but it's not, these tend to not produce as much tornadoes. Now, where we can get tornadoes is sometimes on the leading edge of this broad area of rotation that can sometimes focus the wind energy out, produce a little bit more of a mesoscale convective system with embedded QLCS tornadoes. So we may have to watch that at least for the next hour or so. Continue to stay in your tornado safe space, though, in Laclede County, Missouri, up towards St. Roberts. That's Pulaski County, Missouri. And everywhere there from basically around the Lebanon area, and especially north sides of Lebanon. That's where some of that gustiest wind and rotation looks like is currently located. You can see broadly the greens going towards the radar and reds going away from the radar. So you can see how broad this area is at the moment. But yeah, that is lifting basically parallel to 44 right now. Crocker, Missouri, St. Robert, Lebanon is right in that same area. And keep an eye on this if you're up towards Lynn Creek or Camdenton as well. Let me take a look real quick at this other cell. A little bit of rotation in that cell as well, lifting across the Camdenton area. So there's different boundaries in here. This is not the first round of storms. There's actually been several rounds of storms earlier. So there are in central Missouri here some weird boundary interactions we can get. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a few more tornado warnings out of these Webster and Wright counties there. So yeah, still a little bit of rotation in this area near Lynn Creek as well. All right, new tornado warnings. This one, let's go to this one first because this looks like it's one of the newest warnings and just developed in the last couple minutes too. Webster County near Marshfield and just to the north of Fordland and Diggins, Missouri. It's a little bit of a weird spot for this area of rotation. It's kind of hanging out on the back side of the storm, so there's a little bit of a kind of a reverse hook in there. That's where the tornado is hiding in that situation. I don't see a correlation coefficient, but this area has had several confirmed tornadoes this evening. And we'll see. We'll continue to keep our eye on that one. That's wrapped up very quickly just in the last few minutes.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
There's some new flash flood warnings. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of these flash flood warnings expand. Yeah, so that's going to be hanging out on the backside, Webster County, Missouri. If you're south and east of Marshfield, Missouri, along Missouri Highway 38, Need to take tornado safety precautions. Looks like we have a new scan coming in, so we'll get new radar data out of that in just a minute. That's near Diggins or 9 miles southeast of Marshfield, moving northeast at 15. Some of these speeds are a little bit higher than 15, but Webster and Wright counties there. Duncan, Grove Springs, and Rader, Missouri. All right, this cell to the south has also had confirmed tornadoes at times. When I was just getting in the door, right before starting the stream up around like 8:45, 8:50, this one had a big tornado, looks like briefly. Deep debris signature there out in the hills of the Ozarks, probably a lot of trees. But yeah, that one wrapped up very quickly, even potentially a little bit of a debris ball with a deeper debris signature in there. And then, yeah, deep debris signature at times. That may be a more significant tornado, one of the more significant tornadoes of today, potentially. That one, at least in this area. It's like started kind of right in that area. Crossed around the Arden, Missouri area, and let's take a look. They get tried to tighten up again near Tigris. That may actually still be on the same tornado. Yeah, potentially a longer track tornado there between areas north of Red Bank through the Arden area, Tigris, and then Grenada, Missouri. Before that area has weakened. That area is still potentially capable of producing a tornado. That's near Bryant, Mansfield, Missouri. So they've warned this whole area just to be safe. There is also a little bit of rotation now showing on the tail end Charlie storm. Yeah, that's a little bit concerning as well. Back towards Jackson Mill, Good Hope, and Roy, Missouri. It's going to be south of Red Bank. Keep an eye on this whole cluster of storms. Could produce a tornado there. Coming up through the Marshfield area towards Hartville, Cedar Gap, Macomb, and then up towards Duggan, Talmadge, and Hartville. And then back down here, keep an eye on this part of the storm, Jackson Mill up to Ava, Missouri, Mount Zion, and then a bunch of small communities in here, east and northeast of Ava, Missouri. Veracruz, Denlow, Filler, Bushy Knob, Midway, and then we'll have to watch that if it gets up towards Norwood. So a couple different areas of circulation in there. It looks like they're just going to re-up that warning around the Lebanon area. That area is weakening a little bit. Still a big windy, gusty mess, but that area is a little less imminently tornadic. Earlier, as it was south of Lebanon, that was likely a little bit more tornadic. Yeah, they should stay away from the Poplar Bluff area. They're all mostly lifting up along 44. They should start to die out as we're losing that daytime heating that they were really kind of fed off of in late afternoon and early evening. But keep an eye on these if you're out here. Camdenton, Lake of the Ozarks, up into kind of this area of Missouri. Owensville, Vienna, Dixon, Houston, Sherrill, Kabul, Salem, Steelville kind of area. Is Rolla in there? Yeah, Rolla's in there. I don't think tornado dynamics are high up towards the St. Louis area. And they're not really lifting eastward. They're in a pretty decent track to the north and east. And we're not seeing new storms backfill. So once you get kind of past this line, it is clearing out. It's actually a beautiful sunset on the way home from storm chasing today. Headed west out of the Ozarks.
A new PDS severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
Destructive severe thunderstorm. This is going to be a PDS severe thunderstorm, particularly dangerous situation destructive severe thunderstorm for 80-mile-an-hour winds. That's into the areas in North Dakota: Garrison, Max, Riverdale, Underwood, and you can see, I think, right here why it's being warned for that. I'm seeing 80-plus-mile-an-hour winds in this purple shade along North Dakota Highway 1806. It's going to be towards the Hilly Wildlife Management Area, Douglas Creek, Riverdale Wildlife areas, and then approaching areas around White Shield, Garrison, Douglas, Benedict, Pick City, Turtle Lake, and then up towards Benedict, I already said, and then potentially south sides of Minot. If you're south of Minot on US 83, again, a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. You want to shelter like a tornado warning. Lowest level into your room, away from doors and windows. Put walls between you and the outside, especially if you have trees on your property. Definitely shelter like a tornado. Oh, interesting here. Northwest Arkansas and the Ozarks, that's now dark. You can pretty much see there on that camera. But with the high sun and getting closest to the longest days of the year, up in the Dakotas, this is out of the Fargo area. You can still see it is light, and this is out of western Minnesota. Looking west, you can see the setting sun. It's still light out. So one good thing is these storms right now, it's still light out, so hopefully you can take your safety precautions there. That warning there for those 80-mile-an-hour winds. Let me get that warning pulled back up. That was for parts of McHenry, Ward, McLean, and Mercer counties, south central and north central. So central North Dakota. They're re-upping the other warning. One good thing is they've dropped that considerable threat. Still seeing some strong storms, though, coming through Mohall, Lansford, Glenburn, Carpio, approaching the Minot area, Burlington, Minot, Des Lacs. And then, yeah, if you're south of the Minot area, that's where you have a pocket of 70-mile-an-hour winds coming towards the Douglas area, Benedict and Ryder. That may work its way up towards the Minot area as well. And then back here, 80-plus-mile-an-hour winds, White Shield, Garrison, Pick City, Max, and then up towards Benedict and areas there along US 83 south of the Minot area. Really dangerous storm there. Considerable threat coming towards the Mandan and Bismarck areas. Wide area there, 65 to 70-mile-an-hour winds. Pockets probably over 70, closer to Almont, New Salem. And these are, again, approaching the areas west of Bismarck. Let's get a track on these. We'll just cancel that. Grab the kind of wrong piece there. They were at 45, I believe. Let's get that in place. All right, Mandan about 17 minutes, Bismarck 24, Lincoln 28, and then areas around McKenzie about 45 minutes. Sterling 54. So about an hour. Within the next hour here, they're going to get through 30 minutes to an hour. They're going to be plowing through the biggest Bismarck metro. And then just still seeing strong storms, considerable threats for 70-mile-an-hour winds. Carson, Flasher, Southridge, and Fort Yates in North Dakota. Not as much of a tornado risk down there, but further to the north, we've lost our tornado warnings in North Dakota. There are tornado warnings still ongoing in Canada. Several tornado warnings continuing there. Also tornado warnings up further north in Canada. I don't know if I have a good radar site for those. Yeah, they're really far up into parts of Manitoba. Good news is not too many people live out here, but areas around Duck Bay, Manitoba, this is a dangerous storm. See if we can highlight some rotation on. Yeah, a couple pockets of rotation. Earlier, it looks like it may have had a little stronger area of rotation there on that southern flank around Pine River. and headed up to the area south of Duck Bay. A little bit more of a line of storms, but it looks like it does still have pretty strong rotation indicated there in those red and yellow colors near Campersville, Manitoba. Continue to stay near tornado safe space there. And then another cell where this is a little too far north even for the MRMS and the rotation detection. It's on the edge of even the Canadian radar sites. So that one's headed out into the wilderness. But yeah, some stronger storms still capable of producing tornadoes there into Manitoba. And then tornado warnings also down into parts of southeast Saskatchewan with this cluster of storms that's come out of the Dakotas. Yeah, this was the tornado producing cell earlier, this little kink in the shear rate. That is where that tornado was in progress a little while ago, right as we were starting our stream. That has lifted really rapidly off to the north and northeast into southern parts of Saskatchewan. Looks like it's broadened, but still seeing on shear rate, still seeing shear rate in there, still fairly pronounced. That would be near Cardiff, Saskatchewan. And then there is also another tornado warned storm. This is up north and west of Carlisle. Drawing tool still on. This cell is also tornado warned in Saskatchewan right now, just to the east of Ocean Man, and approaching area of the Moose Mountain Provincial Park, Cannington Lake, and the areas there along 711. Let's see, zooming in, Ocean Man. Yeah, the Ocean Man area, Kipling, Saskatchewan. That area there, definitely need to take safety precautions there in the Kipling, Saskatchewan area. Pretty pronounced rotation showing on that cell. Yeah, it's just in that area south of Kipling, basically about to cross 711, Saskatchewan Highway 711, I guess, Provincial Highway. A few miles south of Kipling. There's Kipling on the north part of the screen. This is going to be, let's see, roughly about 13 miles southwest of the Kipling, Saskatchewan area. Potentially, that's probably the most pronounced area of rotation in Canada, looks like right now. Some of those areas south of Carlisle have weakened as they've worked into Canada. Still a tornado warning there, though. But yeah, that's probably one of the more dangerous cells right now, at least imminently producing a tornado there into southern and southeastern Saskatchewan. Otherwise, a lot of hail in there, some pockets of gusty winds. Some of this in southern Saskatchewan that's going to push into Manitoba is also part of this big same cluster of storms that we've been talking about in the Dakotas. So some of this is going to be some 70-mile-an-hour plus winds potentially lifting off towards areas basically along the Manitoba and Saskatchewan border. So that's going to continue areas towards Virden, Manitoba, Welwyn, Gambler, and those areas right along the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border. Potentially some damaging winds with some embedded circulations as well. Wow. Let's go back and look at our destructive severe thunderstorm. Real quick, just check this for some shear rate. I don't see there's not a lot of QLCS tornadoes, at least in this area right now. It's moving pretty fast, so that's one good thing, is it's going to get through your area pretty quickly. It is surging up to the northeast. About 50 miles an hour. Garrison about 3 to 5 minutes. Max 18. Sawyer 43. Velva 45. Norwich 56. Turtle Lake would be about 16 minutes just outside the warning polygon. And then actually, let's just adjust this just a little bit just to get Minot in there, especially south and east sides of Minot would be about 46 minutes if this big surge wind heads a little bit more northerly. But particularly these areas, Garrison, Max, Velva, if you know those communities out here in central North Dakota, anywhere living in anywhere around those areas, that's pretty much center line for some of that strongest winds, pushing above 80 miles an hour. I wouldn't travel south on 83 right now from the Minot area. Just kind of hold up. They have extended that warning. One good thing, not considerable threat. A little surprised about that because I think there still are pockets of 70 plus mile an hour winds coming towards the radar site, but 60 to 70 is probably a decent bet there. Coming towards the Mandan area, about to get into the Bismarck area, and the entire Bismarck metro plus all these counties here: Burley, Emmons, Grant, Kidder, McLean, Mercer, Morton, Oliver, and Sioux counties in central North Dakota, all under new severe thunderstorm warning, moving east at 50. So this continues to advance to the east. It also continues to accelerate in speed.
A new flash flood warning has been
I
issued.
can't forget about our other storm. This is a tornado possible now, severe thunderstorm, considerable threat, lime-sized hail, tornado possible around the Sidney, Nebraska area. There is broad rotation there near Sidney and Gurley, Nebraska. Continue to watch that cluster of storms in the Nebraska Panhandle. And then back into south central Missouri now. Tornado warnings continue. Laclede County, Pulaski counties. And then some good news here. Some of these cells don't look as imminently tornadic. And yeah, in the 9 o'clock hour, they should be starting to weaken. They also are getting a little bit close to some of these other storms that moved through this area earlier today. So they're getting into a little bit more stable, a little bit of rain-cooled environment as this area of storms and showers lifts away. The secondary batch is now kind of getting into that contaminated air. The southern side of this is still, I think, the feistier side at the moment. Still some rotation in here near Ava, Missouri. Yeah, rotation in there. The rest of this cell was a little bit more tornadic earlier, too. This was probably one of the more significant tornadoes of the day, potentially, at least in this part of the country. Was in there near Arden and Tigris, Missouri, a little bit ago. I showed it just a few minutes ago, but there's the debris signature there. And stepping that back, see, it actually had a really pronounced debris signature at times around 9 o'clock. Yeah, right in there. So potentially one of the stronger tornadoes of the day. And that's what it looked like on reflectivity. You can really see that pronounced area of rotation there. Good news is that stayed away from the Ava area, one of the larger communities out in this part of the Ozarks. Yeah, it's definitely more outflow driven. You can see it's also kind of formed into more of a backwards C shape in here. So some good news right now. Less of a tornado threat across south central Missouri. Still watching a little bit of broad rotation in there around the Ava area. On the tail end of that cluster of storms. There's also a little bit of rotation still showing in this area along Highway 5 and US 60. That's the areas around Mansfield, Missouri. Our middle tornado warning does not look imminently tornadic. See how much brighter it was just a few minutes ago when we looked at it. And that area of rotation has significantly weakened around the High Prairie area along Missouri Highway 38. That cell also just looks less impressive. Yeah, that cell has come down in intensity quite a bit. And then this tornado warning expires in about a minute. I would guess they're just going to let that expire because it does not look imminently tornadic either. That area of rotation still spinning down with some gusty winds near Camdenton and Lynn Creek. Wouldn't be surprised if this gets maybe a tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning just for the gusty winds, but this area is looking a lot less impressive, at least for robust convection. It still potentially has gusty winds. And yeah, they've expanded a ton of these flash flood warnings in Missouri right now. 1 to 3 inches of rain, rainfall rates in the 1 to 3 inch per hour rainfall rates. So additional 2 to 4 inches of rain possible in part of these areas there in south central and now central Missouri, all the way up to areas around Ashland and south of Columbia, Missouri, around Jefferson City. Yeah, 2 to 3 inches of rain already fallen, and we're expecting more rainfall in this area, Jefferson City, up to Columbia, Missouri. Nasty storms here. Okay, tornado watch for this area expires in about 14 minutes at the top of the hour, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just let that expire. Last time there was a watch earlier this afternoon, it went till 7, and they had to re-up that and stretch it back out until 10 because a second round of tornadic storms fired over the same watch area, and so that extended that out. But yeah, this time I think they'll let that watch expire. See, there is a flash flood watch that, or flood watch in general, that covers a lot of these areas, and I haven't looked in the last little while. Here is the latest HRRR run. Pull this up. Okay, HRRR shows the cluster storms in Missouri continuing to weaken across the Jeff City area, Columbia, Boonville. Still some scattered showers and storms potentially across the I-70 corridor late into the evening and overnight. But this model continues to want to produce more storms in parts of the Ozarks and into western Missouri, as well as southeast Kansas. This is in the overnight and early morning hours. We saw this on the modeling last night too. It wanted to put out kind of an MCS
flood warning has
again
been
back in here. I'm surprised to see that this model continues that. Little bit of difference here. The models have been actually fairly consistent at putting a little MCS together, kind of in this area late overnight into the early morning. The Storm Prediction Center right now has a marginal risk for areas in southeast Missouri, basically the lower Ohio Valley, tomorrow for just kind of re-intensification of storms over the afternoon with daytime heating. I wouldn't be surprised if they need to add probably a marginal risk back in here, or maybe just connect all this up, just kind of put a big bubble of marginal risk in there. Because yeah, models have been actually fairly consistent about an Ozarks cluster of storms. This is at 3 a.m. and then clustering together and kind of pushing out a gusty wind surge by about 7 a.m. into the northwest Arkansas. And then, yeah, that's where tomorrow we have a little bit of a slight chance that some of these storms could be a little feisty tomorrow in the afternoon with daytime heating and things across the lower Ohio Valley and the mid-Mississippi Valley. It doesn't look like a severe weather event, but just maybe an isolated stronger storm or two. And things should settle down into the afternoon across Arkansas before we look back further across the high plains. Yeah, this model wants to put another cluster of storms out of there tomorrow afternoon. So it's going to be a very busy few days. Yeah, and they do have a slight risk introduced there for tomorrow. This was an upgrade earlier today. They do have a day 3 already, an enhanced risk. Again, back into the eastern parts of the Dakotas and into western and northern Minnesota. This could be a tornado day. There is a chance of some tornadoes, I think, this day. And then on the day 4, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of this goes also to the moderate risk on day 3. And then day 4, they have introduced a risk area of all of Minnesota, and then especially centered there into southeast Minnesota and western Wisconsin. This would be a day 4 risk. And then they have introduced today a day 5 risk across the Great Lakes, including Chicago, southeast Iowa, and northeast Missouri. I don't think they have a day 6. So we're going to be busy here. Probably streams day 5, day 4, day 3 for sure. Tomorrow is maybe the only break, actually. Yeah, tomorrow, right now, slight risk across the Nebraska Panhandle. We'll see. Tomorrow might even be a day where we stream too, but and then kind of a marginal risk across the high plains. So yeah, busy active stretch. Check the chat. Hey Bauer, how's it going? Create our own radar. I'm probably good on that one right now. I'm really liking the radar product I have right now, but yeah, it would take a lot to probably create. Obviously, no radar product is perfect, but I'd probably be too picky. It would have to be a crazy radar product. But I am loving the Aguacero weather, and they've been pretty good to us too, so that's always nice. Still seeing a gusty storm. This is probably not tornadic anymore. Looking at it here, still a little bit broad rotation. Hartville and Mountain Grove along US 60. Yeah, looking at storm strength, or these are the echo tops, but it's a rough indicator of storm strength. So we're seeing decreasing echo tops. So this storm is generally on the downtrend. And looking at rotation tracks, rotation should have diminished. Yeah, it was obviously max rotation earlier with potentially a strong tornado in progress earlier, the 9 o'clock hour. We can see just kind of broad rotation right along the US 60. Still watching this area south and basically over the Ava area. That actually has ramped up just in the last couple minutes. So we'll continue to keep our eye on this area, still rotating a little bit in there near Ava, kind of on the tail end of this storm. That's really the only part that would be anywhere close to tornadic. Yeah, they have dropped the warning across the Lebanon area. Surprised they still have a warning across this area east of Marshfield, Webster County. That storm is not tornadic. They need to drop that warning. So really only in Missouri, really only one storm that has even kind of a lower chance of a tornado right now. Let's see. Hey, Beanie, how's it going tonight? Hunter Hughes 9, I think that says. How's Springfield, Illinois looking? You guys are okay right now. Some scattered showers. May work its way up to you guys, but not a severe risk. Yeah, you're just in a general thunderstorm risk. Basically, St. Louis and points north and east into Illinois. Not much of a severe risk tonight. Tomorrow, again, kind of the same area, like I was saying earlier. A lot of storms tomorrow across the Midwest. Isolated severe chances, but low severe chances overall. And then Springfield, Illinois, you may have to pay attention onto that. Well, Hunter probably just missed. Yeah, it's the day 5, which is Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Keep an eye in the Springfield, Illinois area down to St. Louis and Kirksville, back towards Jefferson City, and then up towards Cedar Rapids, the Quad Cities, Chicago Metro, Madison, Milwaukee, and into southern Michigan. Day 5 could be a day for some severe risk. It looks like right now it might be more of a wind risk. Day 4 is looking like another day where we potentially have a derecho. Those get confirmed kind of after the fact based on criteria, but day 4 could start with some discrete cells producing all hazards and then kind of congeal into a cluster of storms that works its way kind of across the Mississippi River Valley to the south and southeast. So yeah, day 4 looks like a pretty potent weather day, as well as day 3, an all hazards threat across the eastern parts of the Dakotas, basically the Red River Valley. All right, back into parts of the southern Canada. This is a big, nasty cluster of storms. Potentially, again, 70 plus hurricane force winds pushing into southern Saskatchewan, about to push into western and southwestern Manitoba. The one good news is we have had a little bit less tornadic chances in here. Let's take a look and see. Still tornado warnings in southern Saskatchewan. There is still a area of rotation near Kipling. Where is that? Yeah, this area near Kipling, still capable of producing a tornado just south of the Kipling area. That is Highway 48. Provincial Highway 48. That area of rotation is just about to cross the provincial highway there in the Kipling area, just south and east of Kipling. The other area, not looking as imminently tornadic, coming through the Carlisle, right into southern and southeastern Saskatchewan. This is a big area of gusty winds in here. And like we noted on the US side, 60 to 70, potentially some even higher gusts at points in there. Yeah, especially on this leading edge of this bow, there could be some 80 plus gusts, 80 plus mile an hour gusts. That's going to be lifting up towards the Highway 48 corridor. And then still seeing in here back into the US border, Sherwood, Mohall, Lansford, Glenburn, Carpio. That is another area where there's potentially some 60 to 70 gusts. It's going to be pushing towards West Hope and Glenburn. Still seeing then they've upped the destructive tag to 90 mile an hour gusts. That's going to be for areas Garrison to Max along Highway 83. Yeah, we can see there's some gusts in here potentially pretty close to the radar site, showing above 90 miles an hour. We're not close enough to the radar site where all that's reaching the ground, but yeah, seeing some indicators there over 100. So if 60 to 70 to 80% of that wind energy is reaching the ground, that's going to be at least 80 to 90 mile an hour gusts along Highway 28, Douglas. Again, you need to treat this like it's a tornado warning. Garrison, Douglas, Max, Benedict, Ryder, and potentially they're south of Minot. If you're south of Minot on US 83, lowest level into your room, away from the doors and windows, make sure there's no trees above you. You do want to be in a sturdy structure, sturdy permanent structure away from windows. Let's see. That is continuing to move to the north and east at 90 miles an hour. Our other cells moving through the Mandan area, Bismarck, they've been on a bit of a downtrend. Getting a new radar scan here in just a minute, so we'll take a look at that one. It's going to be it doesn't look like any, organized convective systems are working towards the Poplar Bluff area, but it's going to be very humid overnight. So there's a chance of scattered or isolated shower or storm overnight. Early morning is probably better. And then similar to today and actually across the South, like almost every day of the last week or so, the later in the day and the afternoon, daytime heating, you get more storms bubbling up. So more coverage of storms the later into the afternoon you're going to get, but not like an all day washout. Just kind of those more garden variety pop up showers and storms. Not really part of a organized severe event. I did a little bit. I went out storm chasing Bauer, and I thought a little bit about mods today. I do have a different AI program I'm going to try first, and we'll see how that works. I should have that done for tomorrow, and if we don't stream tomorrow, it should be live by Tuesday. Yeah, tomorrow's Monday, right? And we'll see how that does. So stop by on Tuesday and test out all the W's that clearly last night's AI modding didn't actually cover. But yeah, I'm hoping that'll work. We'll see. All right, newest scan. Basically, that leading edge of this precip, but also the heavy wind is pushing through the Bismarck area just as we speak. Yeah, the wind is just out ahead of this line of storms, so you're going to get the gusty winds first with this outflow boundary you can see in here. This is all rain-cooled air surging out from the storms. That's why we have some of these 60 to 70 mile-an-hour gusts. That's pushing through the Bismarck area just now. This area is moving a little bit faster. But still seeing a pocket in here of some 80+ mile-an-hour gusts. Kind of on that leading edge and then back behind that. Get the track tool out. All right, there's some of the communities in the path here. Minot, especially south of Minot, but south and east sides of Minot, 17 minutes. Velva 19, Surrey 23, Granville 36, and yeah, just coming through the Max area now along Highway 83. Garrison, it's on you guys right now. And they are going to add a new warning there. Considerable threat for 70 mile-an-hour winds. That's some of the same areas. McHenry, Burley, Kidder, McLean, Mercer, Oliver, and Sheridan counties in central North Dakota. And that is actually moving east also at 70 miles an hour. 70 mile-an-hour winds and 70 mile-an-hour motion. That's potentially some of the same line segment. So I'm going to redraw this. Out at about 70. That'll put it through Sheridan County pretty quickly. Rugby, North Dakota, about 52 minutes. Tower, 37. Harvey, 37. And McCluskey, about 56. That also means about 25 minutes or so to Granville and about 12 minutes to Velva. Dangerous storms there in central North Dakota. checking out kind of the progression of this. So yeah, that heaviest part of the storm is lifting off to the north and northeast, basically headed towards that Minot area. A little bit of an outflow boundary surging across Minot now, but I think some of those higher winds could get up towards the Minot area. Especially, again, the south sides of Minot. Yeah, this is starting to get a little close to the Minot area pretty quickly. Minot, you're going to want to take cover, again, like a tornado. Lowest level into your room, away from those doors and windows. And check out Missouri. Like we have lost our tornado warnings across Missouri. Yeah, we've lost all of those. That's the right call. Those storms are no longer tornadic. Not even showing a lot of rotation in those anymore. So yeah, they're going to let those all expire. Those storms are all weakening too. Still a lot of heavy rain across central Missouri right now. We get this from
a new PDS severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
That PDS severe thunderstorm. This area here across central Missouri, Columbia, Jamestown, Wardsville, St. Elizabeth, Bagnell, back to the Lake of the Ozarks area, Holt Summit, and Jefferson City all has a lot of heavy rain falling on that already saturated grounds. So again, please turn around, don't drown tonight. Potentially 2 to 3 inches of rain already, and additional rainfall rates 1 to 3 inches of rainfall per hour. So that area is a big cluster of heavy rain and thunderstorms. Not severe, but that flash flooding is going to be a big issue across these areas into central Missouri into the overnight. And it takes a little bit of time for it to drain. So even if it's not flooding on your current area, it may be flooding in a little while. That area is also a hilly area with a lot of terrain. Looks like this cell is coming down as it's now pushing east of Gurley, north of the Sidney, Nebraska area. Hail has come down, wind has come down. It's not being warned at the tornado possible tag anymore. So that was a pretty nasty cell a little bit ago. They have, looks like confirmed this 90-mile-an-hour gust. Yeah, Garrison, the Mesonet station, reported 93-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So this has had confirmed 90-mile-an-hour winds. They've also increased the speed to 60 miles an hour. That probably checks out. Garrison here, we're seeing like 90-mile-an-hour gusts a little bit ago. Kind of came across that same Garrison area. So yeah, looks like we had some 90-mile-an-hour gusts, and this also radar product is showing things pretty accurately then. Potentially here, there's a burst of 90 to 90 plus mile an hour winds coming towards the Douglas area. This is essentially like a EF1 tornado, but a much broader area coming towards Douglas, North Dakota. Tornado safety precautions, essentially. Tornado safety precautions. Lowest level interior room away from the doors and windows. Put walls between you and the outside as possible. Yeah, that's coming straight into the Douglas, North Dakota area. Dangerous situation there. Yeah, that's a big problem for this area around Douglas. But yeah, I always try and warn people because this area, it's like an EF1 tornado, but it's it's a potentially path of how wide is this? It's a potentially a swath of about 20 miles wide swath there of 90-mile-an-hour winds. Now, that doesn't mean that's consistent. It just means there's a potential for it. The wind is going to be in the higher pockets. So there's pockets of gusty winds. One in here near Douglas, and then there's some up here. There was some that came through the Garrison area. So not everybody is going to see 90-mile-an-hour winds. But in this swath, there's a potential that's about 20 miles wide. Yeah, mostly concerned, at least in the near term, for that Garrison area. But yeah, the leading edge of this also has some damaging wind gusts. Benedict, Velva, and the southwest sides of Minot, North Dakota. You need to treat that like it's a tornado warning if you live south of Minot. Oh wow, that's going to be some intense gusts then. 99. Non-tornadic winds you're talking? That's like the straight line winds like we're seeing here. Was it a straight line wind thing, or was it more of a downburst? Because those can do localized damage too. If you have a thunderstorm and all of a sudden it just has a complete collapse and it downbursts, that produces localized damaging gusts too. Oh wow. Colorado, what elevation are you at? How high are you? Oh wow. Yeah, you're up there then. Still several tornado warnings in Canada right now. This area in southwest Manitoba and southeast Saskatchewan is under a tornado watch. Right now, it's mostly damaging winds with some embedded circulations, kind of a QLCS. It's this whole line segment here. This is also another area that's potentially 70 to 80 plus mile-an-hour winds pushing into southwest parts of Manitoba. It's going to be just near Carlisle and the Moose Mountain Provincial Park, approaching areas to the south and west of Verdun. This is the Trans-Canada Highway in here, Canada Highway 1. So a pretty well-traveled highway. That's going to start getting slammed with some really nasty winds. It's a high trucking corridor in here. This is another one of those situations I don't like to see winds perpendicular to highways hitting because these trucks are driving along the highway here and then all of a sudden get broadsided by a ton of wind, and that can easily tip over high-profile vehicles on the Trans-Canada Highway. These storms are working to the north and to the east, basically like we're seeing in parts of North Dakota. 50 to 60 mile an hour forward progress.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
And then there still is a potential tornado with the shear rate product here, the instant rotation product on the MRMS, showing a pretty high shear rate just to the south and east of Kipling area. This is actually turned. It's actually gone more towards the north with getting the big bump of cells from the south. This was kind of its own cell a little bit ago. It's now been incorporated into the cluster storms. Still has rotation in there. Still potentially a tornado near Kipling, Saskatchewan, along Provincial Highway 48. That is also approaching areas south of the Trans-Canada Highway, north of Kipling. A little bit sparse, but areas in there, Whitewood and Broadview, Saskatchewan, are up next in that tornado warning.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
Okay, very quickly, considerable threat, 70-mile-an-hour winds. That has been reported as well. So 70-mile-an-hour winds in this whole line segment. Where was this report from? From the Bismarck Airport, reported 68-mile-an-hour winds at 10 o'clock. That checks out. That's right at the radar site too. So probably not going to be able to see that. But here's the pocket of storms that went through the Bismarck radar. And still kind of hard to see. We're still kind of in that radar cone of silence, but there's still 68, 70-mile-an-hour winds pushing into the east sides of Bismarck near Mackenzie, through the Lincoln area, and then up here, more pockets of 60 to 70-mile-an-hour winds north of the Bismarck area, approaching areas around Wing, Tuttle, and to the south. Boy, there's a lot. Hazelton, Driscoll, Steele, down towards Fort Yates, and then up towards McCluskey, Goodrich. And now we do have this other destructive tag. This is pushing into the Minot, North Dakota area right now. So if you're along Highway 83 and then south of Highway 2, southwest sides of Minot, these are dangerous to destructive winds pushing into your area. Sawyer, Velva, Voltaire, Norwich, Granville, Carlsruhe, and Deering, North Dakota. We also have strong winds potentially still back in here. Douglas, along Highway 83. Dangerous situation there in the Dakotas. Here comes a new radar scan in too. All right, you can see how fast that's moving just on the jump ahead on this radar scan. So those 60 to 70-mile-an-hour winds are over the Minot, North Dakota area as we speak. 73-mile-an-hour winds pushing in here. 72, 73-mile-an-hour winds basically at the Minot airport. We'll see if we get a new reading from those. They're starting to get really close to the radar site, so they're contaminating some of this radar data. But Norwich, Deering, you guys are up next. Yeah, these surges of wind are pushing into the radar data right now. Considerable threat continues, or not just considerable threat, destructive severe thunderstorms, 80-mile-an-hour winds, tornado possible tag. They've also added in this as well. Just in case some of these areas here along the leading edge have a little bit of rotation also in them now. But not a ton, but doesn't really matter. If it's a weak tornado versus a 80 to 90-mile-an-hour winds, it's not going to show a lot differently. here's a look at that storm complex coming into the Garrison area. Big, massive wind and rain. And zooming out a little bit, you can see these Boeing features in here. There's this big Boeing feature basically into the Canadian side of things. And then there's this secondary Boeing feature from Minot down through the Bismarck area. And these are your corridors here of some of those 60 to 70 to 80 plus mile an hour gusts. So very similar that we're seeing here in the Minot area. Very similar thing could be occurring currently. It's really hard to tell on without the Canadian radar data at the moment, but let's see. Let me get a weird color, but let's see. I think there could be a very similar kind of boy, that color doesn't look like what I thought it would. Yeah, kind of right in here. This area would be a very similar area that has that potential for 70 to 80 to even 90 mile an hour gusts at times with the similar area there near Minot. So that's that area that's approaching the Trans-Canada Highway. Bismarck, we've had that 70 mile an hour gust that is going to continue there east of Bismarck. Menoken up to areas there along Highway 36 east of 83. Pockets here of 70 plus mile an hour winds. And then that's down towards Yates, Fort Yates and Linton. A little bit weaker storms down there, just on the very tail end of that cluster of storms. Way too many screens open here at the moment. I'm trying to get them all to line up and organize, and they keep wanting to stack into each other. I don't want it stacked. I want it nice and laid out. There it goes. Okay. Looks like there's been a couple tornadoes in North Dakota as well, especially right when we got on the stream, there was a couple QLCS tornadoes near Antler, North Dakota. That's on the Canadian border. Yeah, before it's gotten dark, this has obviously a big classic shelf cloud look to it. And so would the storm up in Canada as well. This has a big shelf cloud look to that storm too. Trying to see if we have any cameras up in this area. It's a little bit sparse for the cameras up in this part of north central North Dakota. western Saskatchewan, that sort, or western Manitoba, southeastern Saskatchewan. They're going to continue that considerable threat for the areas around West Hope. Potentially a little QLCS tornado really close to the radar site. Like 5 miles away from the radar site. Yeah. There's a potential little tornado near Deering, North Dakota. Well, there's no way we're going to see it on correlation coefficient. We're just in that cone of silence. But right in there, winds going away from the radar, winds going towards the radar. That's why this area does have a tornado possible tag on it. So still seeing rotation in this cell. This is north and east of Kipling, Saskatchewan. It has broadened some just in the last couple scans. It's approaching areas around Whitewood. Yeah, Whitewood, Saskatchewan. It has broadened just in the last couple radar scans, but this has had a history of some decently strong rotation actually for a while, potentially producing a tornado. So as it lifts up towards you guys, tornado warning continues there in southern Saskatchewan. The Environment Canada warning notes that tornadic circulation would likely be wrapped in rain and may not be visible. And areas around Kipling, Broadview, Percival, and Becavar looks like are in the path of that storm. And as we said, Whitewood is also a community that's in that path. The other warning in southern Saskatchewan referenced Alida, Saskatchewan, but that was from basically from earlier from that previous cell crossing into the Canadian side of things. That area has broadened back out. There still is a bit of QLCS risk in here. There could be some QLCS embedded tornadoes in this part of the line segment too, but more of a damaging wind threat right now on that leading edge. Yeah, still watching for a little bit of a QLCS spin up there near Deering as well. We may lose some of the radar data here as this gets closed in on the radar site, but still damaging winds, potentially Norwich, Deering, Carlsruhe, up towards Berwick. Considerable threat for 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And a destructive severe warning continues there around the Minot, North Dakota area. '86 mile-an-hour wind gusts at the Mesonet at Max, North Dakota. '82 mile-an-hour winds earlier there, and a 98 mile-an-hour wind gust at Garrison. '90 mile-an-hour winds reported at Pick City in Mercer County. 85 mile-an-hour gusts at the Mesonet site, also at Zap in Mercer County. 79 mile-an-hour winds, Hazen. 71 at Halliday. So some of those communities we were warning about earlier looks like have taken those 70 to 90 to even 98 mile-an-hour gusts. And then the Bismarck area, 68 reported at the Bismarck Airport. It looks like wind damage there, tree and wind damage at Hebron or Hebron. 85 mile-an-hour gust earlier at Gladstone, that's along I-90. 82 mile-an-hour. We've probably had a Derecho just by the look of it. It's certainly wide enough. If we've had a derecho, it'll depend on how long this lasts. Right now, it hasn't gone 250 miles. It has gone a decent amount of miles, but I'm not sure. Some of these reports earlier when there was discrete cells. I don't know if the cluster of storms has gone long enough to technically be ruled a derecho yet. But for the winds, we've definitely seen some very serious winds in here. And actually a decent swath there of 70 to 85 to 90 plus mile-an-hour winds. Which means some of these areas probably should have had more destructive severe thunderstorm warnings rather than considerable threats, since we've had reported 80 to 85 mile-an-hour winds in here. Wow, dangerous night. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of that reaches up into Saskatchewan. I don't know if we can get local storm reports. No. But at the border, like earlier here at the border, there was a 79 mile-an-hour wind gust. 74 at Crosby at Divide County. So yeah, some of this 70 to 90 mile-an-hour winds has definitely crossed up into Saskatchewan and now pushing into western Manitoba. Dangerous night there. Here comes the new radar scan. All right, while that new radar scan's coming in, I'm going to go take my contacts out real quick. Quickly checking Missouri. Things are calming down across Missouri. Still turn around, don't drown. A lot of heavy rain across central Missouri. Decent amounts of heavy rain also into parts of Alabama tonight, too. Look at this convective system working in, through here. That is a powerful storm system. I'm going to change my title, too, since we don't have tornadoes in the Ozarks anymore. that works. I'm going to go grab a drink and take my contacts out, and then we're going to continue covering the ongoing severe risk across the Dakotas and also into the Canadian Prairies. Looks like we've also had a, figured we would, but it looks like we are also getting a new severe weather watch. Yeah, new severe weather watch goes out another 2.5 hours. The first severe thunderstorm watch was a PDS severe thunderstorm watch, so that has definitely verified as well, with the considerable risk there. It may not be a new watch; it might just be an extension of the original watch. They're just extending it. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like they're just extending that original part of the watch. Still watching the area out ahead of that for 75 plus mile an hour gusts. Severe wind gusts will continue in that 75 to 90 mile an hour range at least. The good news is the hail has come down, and this area has not shown a lot of rotation, so low chance of a tornado across the Dakotas right now. It is a still a high severe weather day. There is a moderate risk, a level 4 out of 5 across western and central North Dakota into extreme northern parts of South Dakota, northwestern parts of South Dakota. They have maintained that in the last SPC outlook. So these storms are very much capable of still producing some damaging to destructive winds. Yeah, we can still see that outline. This is still your level 4 out of 5 risk for severe weather. Now, the one good news, this is the level 4 out of 5. This is 3, 2, and 1. If you look here, there is a fairly tight gradient here, and these storms are actually just starting to enter the very edge of the moderate risk and then getting into the enhanced risk. There is a pretty tight gradient here, and that shows that the Storm Prediction Center is fairly confident that as this continues to push to the east, it will continue to weaken rather quickly. So we should start to see some diminishing wind gusts in here from those 90 mile an hour winds to more of those 70 to 60 mile an hour winds. We'll keep an eye on these local storm reports and see if anything kind of east of that 83 corridor, the US 83 corridor, if we're starting to see less of those higher end, high impact winds. All right, so let me go take those contacts out, and then we'll continue to cover this. Have a good night, Colorado. Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It will be. If you know anyone in North Dakota, just give them a heads up before bedtime. Hopefully everyone has their no-weather radios and their phone alerts turned on. But it is going to be a long night, the next couple hours. Linton, Steele, Rugby, Rolla, potentially over towards Langdon, Devils Lake, Harrington, Jamestown, maybe lucky. We'll see how those storms progress towards Jamestown, North Dakota. But by then, they should start to weaken as they get into eastern North Dakota. All right, let me go take those contacts out.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
All right, that looks good. Get the chair all adjusted and should be good to go. All right. I think we're good on that. Got the title updated. Nothing major happened while I was gone. Hey, ST Nguyen, how's it going tonight? Oh, big night tonight for severe weather. There has been, looks like some 80-mile-an-hour gusts reported in this line segment that's working into southern Saskatchewan, now pushing into Manitoba, basically crossing now the areas along the Trans-Canada Highway, Highway 1, just to the north and east of Kipling, near Rokenville, and then back into areas near Oak Lake and Verdon, Manitoba. We're seeing now continuations of the severe warnings, Bottineau and Rolla in North Dakota, right along the Canadian border. You can see they've filled in quite a bit in the last few minutes. Let's get back to this radar. I'll watch a couple leading edge QLCS spins in here, but right now things are still no tornado warnings right now in the US. But yeah, still seeing these gusts continue as they work through the Minot area. Still seeing strong winds back across the Minot area. And then through Velva. They're now through Carlsruhe, with the leading edge pushing up towards State Highway 60, Shell Valley, West Hope, Bottineau, Rolla, Pierce County, South Dakota or North Dakota, and then they're through Sheridan County into areas west of Carrington, around Fessenden. We pick up our other considerable threat warning through the Bismarck area, now to the east of Bismarck, Sterling, and areas along Highway 14, approaching Highway 3. On I-94, Driscoll to Dawson. You can see that outflow boundary in there. And then slowly the storms are weakening across the areas here around Linton, areas south and southeast of Bismarck. Some good news there towards the Fort Yates area. There are another cluster of storms that are actually have come up in intensity just a little bit. Yeah, those storms have actually organized a little bit further. So we'll continue to see a potential for some gusty winds here in southern South Dakota, or southern North Dakota, northern South Dakota the next little while. Yeah, it is. I just saw actually there's a new outlook. I believe they just issued a new forecast cone just in the last couple hours. But yeah, there's going to be a quick hitting tropical storm, it looks like, around Acapulco. I think this was just updated. Yeah, today, Tropical Depression 2E. Heavy rains associated with Tropical Depression 2E will impact portions of southern Mexico. This rainfall was likely to produce life-threatening rainfall, flash flooding, and mudslides with that steep terrain here in western Mexico. Tropical storm conditions are expected to reach the coast of southern Mexico within the tropical storm warned areas tonight and continue through Monday. So very quick hitting. This area of rotation, or not rotation, area of organizing circulation actually has worked towards the east off the coast of Mexico. It's now going to pull towards the north and impact the Mexican coastline here in a very short amount of time, in the next 12 to 24 hours, it looks like. Nice. No tropical storms that way, so as long as you're not in Acapulco, that's a very nice area. But right now, about to be under the gun there. Probability of tropical storm force winds. Very low end chance this reaches hurricane status, so looks like it's mostly a tropical storm, mostly a rainmaker. Yeah, tropical storm warnings are up around the Acapulco area. There is another area of interest. Let's see, there it is. The tropical storm earlier, Amanda, was it? It was Amanda, I think. That is continuing to diminish. It's a tropical depression. It will continue to weaken, continuing to move west, actually a little bit southwest. But there is another area that's an interesting area to watch near El Salvador and Central America. Some of the models show some of this energy kind of eventually pulling up into the Gulf, so we do have to watch a little bit of whatever comes out of this area, but it's going to be a rainmaker, potentially more tropical storm development here. They do have a 90-day 2% or a 90-day 90% 2-day chance, as well as a 90-day 7-day window. So basically almost a guarantee by the National Hurricane Center that that's going to develop really close to the coastline. Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua. That could be some massive flash flooding across Central America. We'll have to watch that very closely. And yeah, the models kind of have a Central American gyre kind of hanging out over the same area. So we do have to watch any little kind of spin-off of this. May work its way into the Gulf. Some of the models develop it, some don't. Some of it kind of take it drifting up kind of across this way. So nothing to worry about, but towards the middle of the month in June, we may have to watch the Gulf of Mexico a little bit closer. Otherwise, no tropical storms expected across the Atlantic Basin in the short term. All right, let's get back to. I just want to check a couple things. Yeah, potentially 70 mile-an-hour winds in the storms in southern Saskatchewan too. Let's see. For East Pac, it's going to be Boris. I believe is the B name for Boris. And yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by the middle of the month if we see the A name for the Atlantic Basin either. Okay, so right on cue, these do seem to be weakening just a little bit. Yeah, we're starting to see a little bit more outflow dominance. This rain-cooled air is starting to surge out a little bit more organized fashion. We're not seeing those destructive tags anymore. 70 mile-an-hour winds still in that area. Let's see if we've had any new gusts. Because this is where we're going to have to keep our eye on, is east of the US 83 corridor, which runs basically kind of along here. That really kind of divides our moderate risk versus the enhanced and lower risks for severe weather to the east. So we should see most of those 80 to 90 mile-an-hour gusts to the west of this line. And so far, it does look like we're seeing a little bit less in the way of severe wind gusts. 72 mile-an-hour gusts just a little bit ago. Balfour at McHenry County. There is an 80 mile-an-hour gust at Kruger Lake about a half hour ago. So yeah, not seeing those 90 mile-an-hour winds. That's a good sign. But yeah, keeping a very close eye on those storm reports. Yeah, they've had a lot of lightning with them. About 2,000 strikes in this cluster of storms. Although this new lightning counter on Aguacero weather, it's a really nice feature. Right now it is all lightning strikes. It's not just cloud to ground. I would guess in the next couple updates, I would guess that you'll be able to filter all versus cloud to ground, because cloud to ground is a little bit more obviously threatening. But yeah, still showing a ton of lightning from southern Saskatchewan and Manitoba all the way down this this pretty organized MCS. And that's pretty typical too. The East Pac usually gets going a little bit sooner. Environment Canada has dropped the tornado warnings. Tornado watches continue. southern Manitoba, and southeast Saskatchewan, but they have dropped the tornado warnings. There are a number of severe thunderstorm warnings in Canada. These are also, looks like, weakening. Yeah, these are beginning to weaken as well. Coming through the Verdon, Manitoba area, Pipestone, Oak Lake, Souris, and then crossing the Trans-Canada Highway around the Verdon area, approaching Gambler, Manitoba, and then back towards Melville, Saskatchewan. Still a big batch of really gusty winds. Not as much hail, mostly a wind risk. Some embedded spins in here. Earlier produced some QLCS tornadoes across southern Saskatchewan. Considerable threat. 70-mile-an-hour winds, Bottineau. Bottineau, Belcourt, Belcourt, Rugby, Towner, Harvey, and then over towards Carrington and New Rockford. Hey, Cruz, how's it going? 6-hour stream? That's a good one. You must have covered actually quite a bit. I was out actually storm chasing tonight, so I rushed home, and after I was done with that, and then hopped onto the stream. So I think I've only been on for a little bit. 2 hours or so? Maybe like 2 hours. 6-hour stream is a good one, yeah. I was about to get a stream going earlier, and I decided to go out and actually storm chase instead. So, sorry everybody. But yeah, happy to be back in the studio. Trying to see, let's see, kind of weird. We're kind of seeing this start to diminish in intensity a little bit. They have dropped the severe warning across the Bismarck area, and actually not even continuing any severe thunderstorm warning across southern parts of North Dakota. Still outflow dominant storms. These storms are actually upscaled a little bit right on the North Dakota, South Dakota state line. Seeing some gustier winds, especially in this pocket of storms. East of Bison, South Dakota. Keep an eye on that little area. Has a little bit of feistiness to it. Oh, I did hear that. Yeah. What how's Huntsville doing? Let's see. Oh, wow. Yeah, this area had a ton of rain, huh? Surprised there's still not a flood warning in effect, but models show like 4 to 8 inches of rain up in the higher terrain around the Huntsville area. That's dangerous. Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize they got that much rain. This area has had a ton of flash flooding here over the last few hours from Columbia, Missouri, Jefferson City, Eldon, Osage Beach, and then around the Springfield area, Stratford, Battlefield, Marshfield, back towards Marionville. I assume this area hasn't had as much since the storms are moving pretty quick. Oh, nice. That is a good stream. Yeah, because when I was getting the stream started for severe weather in the afternoon, I didn't see any other streamers on. So you may have been the only one. And then I decided to bail. I was actually ready to, I was pretty much ready to push start. And I decided to actually go. It looked like things were going to get a little feisty. And I decided to go chase storms instead. But yeah, that's a mess. More storms possible across that area the next few days too. Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. Yeah, you deserve it. You've been working hard too. Take a look at. Oops, not that one. Yeah, we're going to watch that area. Huntsville down to Birmingham tomorrow afternoon. Could get more storms. Probably not a lot of severe storms, but that would be a problem for this area that had a ton of heavy rain today. And then potentially more storms on Tuesday into northern Alabama. Yeah, that's not a great situation there. I'm still concerned with this area too. In southwest Missouri, northern Arkansas overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. More storms in an area that's had flash flooding and severe weather today. And then, yeah, we could get another convective system. Mm. If things develop like this, we might have a stream tomorrow. I was thinking tomorrow might be an off day, but we may have a stream tomorrow if storms do explode like that over the northeast Colorado, the Denver area, Fort Morgan, and then potentially a bit of a convective system develops out of that. Yeah, it's just kind of a messy, very active pattern. Even areas that aren't in the severe risk of the next couple days. Most of the severe risk is going to be up into the northern plains, but yeah, a lot of the south and the Ohio Valley gets a lot of just kind of daily thunderstorm activity the next couple days. Oh, geez, yeah. Looks like Birmingham still has a flash flood warning right now. Still 1 to 3 inches more rain possible. Yeah, there's still some storms kind of sitting over that central Alabama area. And yeah, you can see that some of the flood watches across most of Tennessee, northern Alabama, much of Missouri, northeast Oklahoma, northern parts of Arkansas. And I think they've expanded them. They've stretched up into the Mississippi River Valley or the Quad Cities area into southern and southeastern parts of Iowa as well. This area continues to downtrend this storm in western parts of Nebraska. There is flash flood warnings behind this cluster of storms. It's a slow mover, and it's produced a lot of heavy rain and somewhat arid to semi-arid terrain there in the western hills of Nebraska. Continuing to see 70-mile-an-hour winds. Considerable threat there into the North Dakota area, 70-mile-an-hour winds. Northeast at 55, so they're keeping pretty quick forward progress for these clusters of storms. Yeah, not seeing as many of those 80-mile-an-hour wind reports. Okay, yeah, so they started back here. That cluster of storms that came out of the eastern Montana. And the new storms went up near Williston. And then you got like explosive growth at 8 o'clock hour. That's what pushed up into southern Saskatchewan. It'll be interesting to see how they exactly classify this, because it did start as a little bit more discrete cells. But it's maybe right at that like 250 mark, especially if you bring it from the southwest to the northeast. It may qualify for a derecho. If you just start it from like where things really started to cluster together.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
It's going to depend on where they start the derate, or where they start the severe reports. If they start it from the cluster that formed basically on the North Dakota and Montana border, then it's not going to hit derecho status. If they start it at the kind of those
A new flash flood
initial
warning has been
storms and
issued.
bring it back to the southwest, that could easily be over 250 miles. But yeah, if they only start it where like more organized clustering began, like right in this area, right about 8 o'clock, 8:15. Yeah, it's going to be just short of a derecho if they started it there. That'd be about 230 miles. And it's good to have the criteria for standardization, but sometimes it's a little bit picky. Because, yeah, even if that somehow does not qualify as a derecho, there's still been an area here of some pretty powerful 70 to 90-mile-an-hour winds. I think the highest was the 98-mile-an-hour wind gust. And that corridor from about Dickinson, South Dakota, or Dickinson, North Dakota, up towards the Minot area, is roughly... See, like, if you just counted that area, that would not qualify as a derecho. Officially qualify as a derecho, because it's only 145 miles. The swath probably would, because the one criteria of the derecho is that it's not just one single cell. It has to be kind of spread out, and that swath of the 80 plus mile an hour winds is spread over like 70 to 80 miles. So the width of the system is correct for a... Oh, there it goes. Was that out for a little while? Hopefully not. I think I just bumped the... Yeah, I just bumped the off button. Yeah, 98 mile an hour winds was at the Garrison Mesonet site, so a pretty reliable site. And we've also had other 84 mile an hour gusts and 90 mile an hour gusts in that same area. If it was off, I think I was saying that depending on how they count it, because we definitely have the width of a derecho with about 70 to 80 mile an hours. Okay. Yeah, then I don't know. The width is correct for derecho. I don't know if the length is. It's just going to be how they measure that length. Yeah. Yeah, I just bumped the mic button. I was worried there because all the settings look good. I was like, uh-oh. They probably won't really factor it in, but this has also caused at least a bunch of probably 70 to 80 mile an hour winds in southern Saskatchewan too. Slowly decreasing. Considerable threat, though, continues towards the Rolette area, Shell Valley, Belcourt, through Bottineau. Those storms are now through Rugby and Towner, down through Harvey, Fessenden. Sykeston is up next, and then Carrington. And then seeing weakening storms along the I-94 corridor. Those storms are fading away pretty fast, except for southern parts of the state. A lot of wind today. Actually, I did want to see there are one tornado report. One tornado report west of Minot. Train spotter report of a rope tornado that came down and was on the ground for about 3 minutes. And that was not warned as a tornado warning. That's at 9:37. Must be like right in here. There's just very, very faint, weak rotation. Or there it is at 9. Yeah, there's a very weak rotation in there, but that may be it right there. Very brief tornado. Had several tornadoes today across the south. This was a correlation coefficient drop, radar confirmed. There's also been tree down reports. I believe some structural damage around Sparta. They've apparently already rated this an EF0 tornado. Tree debris. Yeah, that checks out. Yeah. Luckily, this storm that went into the Springfield area was not producing a tornado when it went into Springfield. I think a bunch of people reported it. It had a super, super crazy low wall cloud and wispy rising scud, but the tornado was south and west of Springfield, but it was a very brief tornado. The wall cloud was crazy. A lot of crazy low wall clouds today. The condensation level across Missouri was very low. There was also some low wall clouds west of Lockwood and Greenfield out here. Dallas County earlier this afternoon had a supercell. I don't think put down any tornadoes, but very low wall cloud, kind of lower than the tree line at times. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few more tornadoes. There was at least 2 or 3 down here. There was one near Highlandville, yeah, which is down here, north of Branson. So there's probably going to be a few more tornado reports filling in. Also, Fordland, Missouri reports 3.6 inches of rain. Weirdly, I think we may have had more tornadoes today across the Ozarks than potentially we've had here in our... This is a wind-driven moderate risk, but potentially in our Derecho. Yeah, there was another tornado, I believe, in Arkansas earlier today as well. Train spotter report a brief rain-wrapped tornado in Newton County. I've played around with it a little bit the other night. And actually, I think it was one of the nights I was on stream. I had my stuff on the stream, and then I had them on the other one of my other monitors, and I was just kind of comparing and contrasting. It is it's nice. I do see a lot of potential in it. Yeah, so far 5 tornado reports on the day, but I think that should increase across the Missouri. A couple Missouri reports are missing. Earthquake on the Philippines. I think right now we have, as like the public, the non-National Weather Service people, we have some of the access to the best radar apps and technology that we can ever have. That can be a problem for some people that don't realize. Some people don't know how to use all the data or interpret it all, but it's all there at your fingertips. But in general, I think it's a really good thing. Hmm. NATOcast wants to heat up that eastern Colorado area tomorrow. Let me look. I don't know if I have earthquake data on here. But I do have, just want to check. Oops, I clicked on the wrong one. But I do have tsunami warnings. I do want to check and make sure there's nothing crazy going on here. Tsunami warning, advisory watch. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes if you get an earthquake in the Philippines, you'll get watches and warnings and stuff for tsunami. So it doesn't look like, must not be no watches there. And no watches on the west coast. So it must not be a tsunami generating earthquake. Oh, 7.8. Wow. That's pretty big then. Yeah, Cruz, I do find that too. If someone is just getting into weather and doesn't have a lot of experience with radar and with weather, you probably don't need a super expensive radar app. There's enough free versions of radar apps that you can get on your phone and or on your computer that they do just fine. Oh, it's just swallowed weird. Yeah, I think some people jump right into the paid like pro tier of the apps and for some people that are really into weather or doing it for research for either careers or for education and they're meteorology students, then yeah, you might want the pro package. If you're an amateur or professional storm chaser, you definitely want the pro packages, you know, that kind of stuff. If you're a private or public meteorologist, you want the pro packages. But yeah, if you're a newbie into weather and you just kind of want to see some velocity signatures and switch between velocity and reflectivity, and those are the only buttons you need, then, you know, at the very max, you may need like level 1 of the paid tier for most of the radar apps. No, you're good, Cruz. Yeah. Because, yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it trips up even very experienced meteorologists and people that have been watching radar for a long time. Every now and then get tripped up. Even I have made mistakes. I try to limit those, but especially correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient is very hard to read sometimes, but yeah, like sometimes you'll see, I've got it on some streams too, is some people will be like, hey, there's a giant debris ball at, you know, XYZ town. And I'm like, oh, I better go look at that. And it's just, what is this? It's going to be clear air. But to someone that doesn't see a lot of radar data, this kind of does look like a debris signature. It's fairly circular. It shows low correlation. It's surrounded by precipitation. So, you know, it looks like it could be a debris signature, but it's actually just the clear air between a shower here and then the storms coming in. So you're looking at like the clear air of this area. Yeah. And velocity can be hard too because there's hail contamination and velocity gets cluttered close to the radar sites and far from the radar sites. So even velocity data has sweet spots and Velocity data is very susceptible to the distance from the radar. Where is my radar here? Yeah, that's why I like this tool, because this tool shows you, not all radar products have this, but apps have this, but this shows me how high the beam height is. So at 300 feet, it's a pretty accurate beam height. If you go out here to the edge of the radar site, and that's only 3,000 feet, but probably further out, yeah, it's about 6,000 feet. So people, if you're just getting into radar data, you may think like this is all the same data, but it's actually not. The data kind of close in here is a lot more detailed. It's a lot lower altitude than the data out here. So the radar beam, or essentially this radar data, is almost cone shaped, kind of like that, from the radar site. So you get pretty good data in this range, but if you're out here, you're not getting as much good data. Hey, Stones, how's it going tonight? Yeah. Yeah, welcome to the welcome to the world of YouTube streaming crews. It's you're going to get probably some, as you continue to grow your channel, you'll get some interesting feedback and comments. And pretty much, it's, yeah, I think it's pretty easy for people to understand the reflectivity. Is the darker red, purple colors indicate more precip. It's probably the one I think people see the most. So it should be somewhat familiar, but there are actual research. There's research into meteorological communications. It's something that I take very seriously here on our channel, but there are some, and I'm not trying to make fun of people. If you're tuning in just now or seeing this on a replay of a live stream, not making fun of you, but okay, that was weird. Are we still on? Yeah, you're good. You guys can hear me. Test, test. Okay. Computer decided to try to update. I guess it's about midnight. 11:30. Yeah, okay. The computer has tried to shut everything down, and I was trying to rescue it. Did it? Yeah, it's good now. Okay. Yeah, it was probably just trying to shut stuff down. But yeah, I was what was I saying? Yeah, there's peer-reviewed research that actually shows for meteorological communications. Again, I'm not trying to make fun of anyone if anyone's tuning into the stream now, or if you're watching on a replay. There's peer-reviewed meteorological research from researchers that that study warning and meteorological communications that show people, that a scary low amount of people can't pick their county if this is their home on a radar map. And like if you're talking about, say, a tornado near, hypothetical, so this is not going on live, but if there's a tornado near Linton over here, and we're talking about this county to the west of their home county, like say someone lives in Napoleon, they actually don't realize that they live here and there's a tornado here. So it's is it? Test, test. Yeah, I hear myself. I think it's Cruz. Stones, you can hear me? Okay. Yeah, it must have been with the reset. I could hear myself, so not sure. Sounds good to me. Yeah, but I could hear myself, so I don't know. Okay. Yeah, since the reset, it sounded good. I don't know. But yeah, there's a scary amount of people that apparently can't pick out their own home county and their own like town on a map and realize that there's a tornado to the west of them. So yeah, I was saying that there's meteorological research that shows, speaking of like radar data and stuff, that shows that people actually, a scary low amount, can pick out like their home on a map and recognize that there's like a tornado over here that would be coming towards their home county. So that's the other thing that makes meteorological communications very difficult, is beyond people just not reading radar properly and getting confused with correlation coefficient or ZDR or storm relative velocity versus regular velocity and all the different radar products we have. Beyond just all the tools, people just can't pick out their own location compared to where the threats are. So yeah, if you are not that literate on reading maps, then you probably don't need like a super pro level radar package that costs like $20+ a month. I guess that's the long end of it. No, we're not talking about you, Stones. I'm Cruz was just talking about like paid radar apps and stuff, and I think it was right before you popped in. But no, that's one of the reasons why we do this, is hopefully to educate people, but also to give people more of a, the more you see it, the better you can get with stuff. But Stones, you're good. You talk about weather all the time. But some of the, I mean, Stones, I think you're good. You have the local you have your local Kansas City weather radar, right? Like the news radar. So like, yeah, Stones is I guess a decent example. Like Stones doesn't need to pay $30 a month for radar data. There's plenty of free radar data available for not professional meteorologists. And yeah, Stones, you've talked about your county before, so I know you know where your county is. Speaking of which, Kansas City, let's see. Let's check Kansas City. Let's see. I think most of the big storms missed you today, right, Stones? It appears like Kansas City should stay more on the dry side, maybe an isolated shower storm, but nothing crazy overnight. You should be good overnight. Southeast Kansas, looks like Southeast Kansas models continue to want to put more storms into Southeast Kansas. Yeah, some showers around right now, but nothing severe. Those lift away, and most of the model data wants to keep any more rain and storms mostly to the south. Sundays are good for that, though. I tried to sleep in today, and then my dogs woke me up early. It was kind of annoying. The latest model data wants to push that cluster of storms that develops over southeast Kansas overnight. Potentially Joplin, Springfield, back into northwest Arkansas in the morning, and push it all the way basically down to the Mississippi River Valley by 4 o'clock. So we'll have to watch. I don't know if they added anything yet. Still think they need, based on the model data, I still think they need to add a risk area, more than a general thunderstorm risk area, into this area. Northeast Oklahoma, southeast Kansas, southwest Missouri, and probably most of Arkansas tomorrow. Oh, geez. Oh, yeah, you're busy with all the kids. Yeah. I guess with kids, you just gotta take that sleep when you can. So if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you gotta take it when you can. Looks like Kansas City, not any big storms expected the next, at least about 24 hours. Most of the storms looks like tomorrow stay closer to the Mississippi River Valley and then back down across the Arkansas River Valley tomorrow. And Cruz, yeah, I'm worried about you guys again tomorrow. Not for severe weather, but just more rain and storms, it looks like, across northern parts, central and northern Alabama by tomorrow afternoon. And nothing really organized showing, but, you know, if a storm sits over Huntsville again, that would not be a good situation. Stones might get a couple days without any strong storms. Looks like Tuesday looks okay. I think after, like, tonight, isolated storms and showers, it looks like maybe Wednesday might be the next day where Kansas City might get a little. Yeah, I have to watch, like, northern Missouri on Wednesday. And this is just for the highest severe chance. There could be some other storms that dip down in this area. So yeah, like your next, shot at more organized storms is probably going to be like Wednesday. This model is almost spot on with where this storm cluster started to weaken. Basically, as it pushed through the Minot area. All right, 60-mile-an-hour winds. They've updated the warning here from New Rockford, Cando, Rolla. So they are stepping down the warnings. So that's a good sign. Yes, still a couple pockets of gustier winds, but those storms don't look as severe as they did earlier. Yeah, I have. Do you know him, like, personally? 'Cause I know he's from, like, I don't know exactly where you are, Cruz. Don't dox yourself, but I know he's from, like, the northern Alabama area. Let's see. We've also lost our severe warnings across Canada. Let's see. No tornado warnings active in Canada right now. That's a good sign. A couple different severe thunderstorm warnings still in southern Manitoba. But this cluster of storms is also starting to weaken as it's pushing into Manitoba further. Saurus up to Rolling River, Rossburn, and Gambler. Still some gusty winds, but less of a distinct severe risk there. And then things are clearing out across Saskatchewan. Still gusty winds, heavy rain, but the organized severe storms have shifted into Manitoba. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's no. Let me phrase that differently. It's late. I'm sorry. It's cool that you've met him on the golf course. The ending his the ending of his live stream is not super cool. I did see that the other day. I saw he posted is that Friday maybe? I posted a big long message on his post as a response to it. So yeah, I was kind of sad to see that because he's actually I did not know his channel existed when I started my channel. But he did an interview, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago on Weather Brains with James Spann and everybody, and I was listening to that episode, and he had some really good thoughts, I thought, and he was also trying to keep his channel more science-based communications, have a calm tone. He didn't have a lot of like flashy bots or anything popping up, and just kind of he kind of resisted some of the things that made me start live streaming a few years ago, as I saw a few of the bigger streamers get very commercialized in not the greatest way. Commercial and making money is like a great thing. And if you can make money doing what you love, that's even better. But when commercialization takes over the warning process and that kind of stuff, that can get a little bit messier. And I started to see some of that kind of introduced and a little more gimmicks and more sensationalism. And I thought I can probably do better. So anyway, so then I started this channel. But yeah, I did not know many other streamers existed. And then I found him long after I started my channel. And I thought our channels basically had similar philosophy. So I'm disappointed to see he's stopped. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully maybe he can get his financial situation back and we'll see him back again. Selfishly, I didn't really comment, and I don't want to be like, I don't want to be like scavenging for anyone, but selfishly, I hope that maybe some of his regulars will see my post. And I didn't post as an ad, so I didn't really talk too much about my channel, but hopefully they might see my channel and come on over, because I did mention that our channels had similar philosophies. I didn't want to make it too much of a pitch, because going on his channel and just pitching to get people doesn't seem great either. But I still wanted to somewhat give his community a sense of, hey, there's maybe another channel community out here that can have a similar philosophy. So we'll see. I was trying to walk a fine line between those. I do. I think the Eastern Pacific season will stay busy. Last year's East Pac was crazy busy too, and that we're getting into a stronger El Nino that actually favors a busy East Pac season. It's interesting because El Nino favors a busy East Pac, but actually a below average Atlantic hurricane season. So they're actually kind of different there. And I do agree. I think most of the major sources for National Hurricane Center, Colorado State, and NOAA have all forecasted basically average to below average Atlantic hurricane seasons. I pretty much concur with those thoughts. Was that on Weather Brains or was that somewhere else? He's actually a pretty good forecaster. Actually, people give him crap that he probably doesn't deserve, Ryan, because his forecasts are actually really good. Yeah. It's very hard. It's not the easiest. Here comes a new scan. You can see the radar sweep coming in. Eventually, if your channel grows big enough, and really whether or outside of that, no matter what subject, if your channel grows big enough, you're going to get some trolls at some point. And the other thing too is, as your channel grows, you can never make every single person happy. And that's kind of a general thing, actually, no matter what you do outside of social media or streaming as well. It's very hard to make every single person happy. If you're running a restaurant or running a sports team or doing basically any job, you just have to recognize at some point someone's not going to be happy. And sometimes, and a lot of times, it's them and not you. I've not met Evan in person, by the way, Cruz, but I've talked to him, I think, a couple times on exchanging a couple, um, not ideas, but a couple mutual contacts and stuff. And he seems like a great guy. So eventually, hopefully, maybe I can meet him on the golf course too. Yeah, that's pretty cool, especially if you've been into weather for a while. It's you seem to be doing things the right way. I'll have to try and tune into one of your streams when I'm not streaming too. But some younger people do tend to jump in a little bit too quickly, I think. But it looks like you've done it pretty much the right way. Oh, geez, great. I'm pretty new to the Discord. There's going to be spam bots on there too. Oh man, yeah, that sounds good, Stones. I was looking at Discord a little bit the other night, getting some stuff set up on it, and I don't love the format. It looks, I don't know. To me, it looks a little disorganized and messy, but I guess it'll grow on me. Yeah, that 2E has a, where is it? 2E is going to be done in like the next day and a half or so. It's pretty close to Mexico. So within the next 12 to 24 hours, it looks like it's going to peak and basically come ashore and then be a big rainmaker in the areas around Acapulco. This second disturbance, it's not, looks like it does not have a depression status yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does by tomorrow morning. It has a 2-day 90% chance of development. So, and a 7-day 90% chance. So 90% chance on both development timelines is basically this hurricane center saying it's going to develop. And yeah, I believe it kind of the model data kind of meanders it around Central America. So probably a heavy rain, massive flash flood threat across Central America. Actually, let me see if I can pull. I forget how to do this, but let's see. We can pull model data from that too. Okay, yeah. Here's the model data on this other Invest 92E. It just kind of sits and spins it off the coast of El Salvador and Guatemala. And then, ooh, this is the H wharf. Takes it a little bit further west and actually develops it fairly significantly. That could develop that into a hurricane. But yeah, it just kind of parallels the coastline. So all these areas in Guatemala, El Salvador, and then southwest Mexico, like this situation there keeps the storm offshore, but this would be a flood threat across the hilly terrain of the Mexican coastline. And eventually this takes it up towards Acapulco too. So that's not a great situation there. Let's see, this one. Hurricane H Wharf 91. Okay, yeah, here's our next system. Because this one develops close to land, it takes it fairly quickly on land. It doesn't give it a ton of development time, but that's just going to be a massive amount of heavy rain in this area around Acapulco, and eventually gets kind of pulled west along the Mexican coastline. But yeah, it's going to be very quick to develop. If it does, the National Hurricane Center has it reaching tropical storm status. This is about 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And this roughly is landfall early afternoon tomorrow, after lunchtime in the Central Daylight Time, so 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So not a lot of time to prepare. Hopefully people down here have been preparing today. The good news is, yeah, it doesn't have a lot of room to strengthen, but that is that's a problem for Acapulco area. Yeah, let's get back up to our storm coverage. Let's see. All right, close that out. And yeah, let's hop all the way back up. We do have weakening storms. That's the good thing. Let's see. Oh, I missed a bunch of stuff. Hey, Moss, how's it going? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was too. I'm glad you found us, Moss. That means a lot. I feel like you've done, I guess, well probably watching both of us for a while. No, you're not a problem at all. I had a weird glitch a while back too, so I hope you're just catching up. Hey, Eckers, how's it going tonight? Brandon, Manitoba. Yeah, let's take a look. Storms are weakening across the Manitoba area, but let me find you there on the map. Brandon, Manitoba. Okay. Oh, you're right there. So some of those strongest storms are just to your south. Oak Lake back towards Souris. Looks like those are just about to work up into the Brandon, Manitoba area. Let's see. Let's get back to Canadian radar real quick. Good news is this area has diminished in intensity. There were no active tornado warnings the last I looked in Canada, but I just want to double check and refresh the system. Yeah, severe thunderstorm warning for the areas around Brandon. Let me get closer look at the radar here. Gusty winds and obviously a ton of lightning still in this storm, but rotation has backed off. Low chance of a tornado overall right now. It's mostly going to be that gusty wind threat. Yeah, earlier it was really rocking and rolling. Let's see. Let me go back. Put this radar back maybe about 2 hours. Some of the strongest part of this system lifted, it looks like more north than east. On the Saskatchewan side of things, up towards Kipling. Looks like that area, Carlisle to Kipling, and basically to the Manitoba border was probably the more concentrated area of some embedded tornadic circulations, and also that heavier wind. But yeah, just like the US side, we are seeing these storms slowly diminish in intensity as they work towards the east. Unfortunately, it does look like some of the strongest storms still in Canada right now are about to push into that Brandon, Manitoba area. So, yeah, just make sure you're away from windows. If you do have trees on your property, you may want to, make sure you're kind of in an interior space away from windows, not on your first or your high floor. But otherwise, strong winds, gusting 60 miles an hour to maybe 70. But you guys should be able to get through it okay. Wrong one. And then basically from almost the area around Brandon, Manitoba, all the way down through parts of northern North Dakota. That's essentially the same storm cluster. So a very similar environment. We're seeing diminishing storms, 60 mile an hour winds, maybe a gust here or there, 70. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you guys do have, I think, one of the stronger storms right now still in this whole cluster of storms. But behind these, there is looks like a wake low. These kind of storm systems, these mesoscale convective systems, basically make their own weather. So it does look like on radar, there's a wake low in here, not a tornadic situation, but these little kind of localized low pressures do tend to accentuate the wind risk. So even after the storm kind of blows through, there could be some gusty winds, heavy rain, some embedded lightning and thunder, through the evening and overnight. Looks like especially across eastern parts of Saskatchewan, western Manitoba. Yeah, I feel really bad about that situation because yeah, he seemed like a cool dude, and once I saw his Weather Brains, I guess podcast on Weather Brains, I realized our channels were actually fairly similar. Because I started my channel just seeing a lot of the sensationalism and a lot of the clickbait kind of style of some of the streamers, and a lot of the move away from just actual meteorology. I saw a lot of like shrinking radar space. I try to have a pretty active camera scene on the one side and above me, but I try to keep most of like the streaming space dedicated to a lot of radar data. And yeah, I even since the last couple of years, I still feel like a lot of the other streamers, I still see less and less actual radar. And yeah, I did like his channel. He wasn't afraid to call out sometimes mistakes from other people or from the National Weather Service, which not here to bash the National Weather Service, but I don't mind like last night calling out mistakes. Like last night's tornado on the ground for nearly 20 minutes or so in western Arkansas. I think it's fine to call out mistakes like that. So yeah, I hope he does. I hope maybe he'll come back on eventually or find what he needs to find. Yeah, that was nuts. Actually, while I'm looking, we're kind of bouncing around a little bit because the storms are slowly winding down. There is a bunch of weather still ongoing, though. Let me see if Tulsa has actually put out. They have information on western Arkansas tornado. Okay, so it looks like EF1 tornadoes so far were confirmed. 3 EF1 tornadoes, 90 to 100 mile an hour winds in 2 of them, and an 85 to 95 in the one. Let's see. Barling, Crawford County, Arkansas, Sebastian County, and Sebastian County. West of Highway 71, move north. Yep. Yeah. So they have rated those, but yeah, they haven't put out any other statements. They haven't also put out any reasoning why they missed the warning for 20 minutes. So stuff like that's a little frustrating. Yeah, look at that spin in there. That's definitely more of a wake low situation. That's going to be, in addition to the distinct storm threat that I was just talking about around the Brandon area, it's going to be a general area of some gusty winds overnight. Potentially gusting 40 to 60 mile an hour gusts in here. And then, yeah, these storms are significantly decreasing because they push into east central North Dakota. These cells, though, down here near Fort Yates have actually uptrended over the last few minutes. They've actually organized a little further, surging out also a little bit. Let's take a closer look at those. Wouldn't be surprised if those get a warning. They are getting a little bit feistier here. Not a tornado threat, and some of these are also pushing some outflow boundaries, so they are outflow dominant. But that is rain-cooled winds gusting out of this storm. And yeah, some of that gust probably in the 50 mile an hour range. Stones. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was just because it wasn't a high profile day where maybe they just didn't have a lot of people in the office, or someone was out to lunch or on a bathroom break or something, because there shouldn't be a reason why a tornado goes unwarned for 20 minutes and it was within about 10 miles of a radar site. Yeah, Witcherville. Oops. 12 miles of a radar site. So yeah, where that tornado started is up a beam height of about 600 feet. So it's not a radar hole. It wasn't in bad radar coverage area, a fairly populated region. Yeah, not really what the, no, I don't really know what the excuse is for that, and probably won't know. I'm a supporter of like an NTSB style review board for those type of things. It'd be nice to kind of just get a basic, like, hey, this is what happened, this is why it didn't work. And you don't have to name names. You would be able to maybe use like a forecaster number, be like, forecaster 517 fell asleep at his desk. Hey, like, it happens. And then like the NTSB, you could say, well, here's what we're going to do to fix that problem. We're going to have 2 people on the staff at the same time. Yeah, good night, crews. Yeah, get some sleep. It sounds like you've had a busy day with the flash flooding and the streaming. And yeah, you're on the, no, Alabama's on Central Time. Oh, it is midnight already. But yeah, have a good one, crews. I still want to tune into one of your streams. That's the one problem I have of streaming, is I do miss some of the other streams. Yeah. Yeah, it'd just be nice to have just like some clarification on why some things are missed. It's an interesting little cell that's developed right on the Oklahoma border. Siloam Springs area, severe thunderstorm warning. Quarter size hail, 60-mile-an-hour wind. And lightning has really come up in that cell. Oh, yeah, here's all those bubblers that may develop into a convective system overnight across southeast Kansas and western Oklahoma, or not, western Missouri and eastern Oklahoma. And yeah, I heard a rain shower over a little bit ago when I was ranting about something. So yeah, rain showers have popped up. And then I'm also worried about this area. Looks like some storms are starting to work into the Springfield area later. Areas that have had a lot of flash flooding across central Missouri. Yeah, new warning there. There's the Welcome Center on 412. That's right here. Not super heavy rain there yet, but starting to come down. A little bit of gusty winds also showing up on that cell. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And that Tulsa office is not like they're usually a really solid office. They usually get warnings out very quickly. They're usually a good communications office. So I don't know. But it would be nice to get some type of statement on why it took 20 minutes. And again, you don't have to name names. You don't have to say like the forecaster's name. You can use a forecaster code, or you can just say like, hey, there was only one forecaster on versus, I don't know. There's not going to be, though. There's usually multiple forecasters even on a slow night. So then, I don't know what the situation was. Oh wow, this is this is this storm is done. Still gusty winds. Just because there's not a lot of precip left in here, the lightning is coming down. There still are gusty winds. There's still an outflow boundary. Sometimes we see outflow boundaries proceed on even without the storms. But yeah, in there, still could see some gusts to 50 or 60. Hail is no longer a threat. Tornado is no longer a threat. Some rain. You're going to get some rain across the northern parts of North Dakota. But pretty much that area is done. And then this area still has a chance of seeing some severe weather from areas just to the south and east of Bismarck, over towards Jamestown, Ellendale, the Wishick area, Ashley, Hazleton. Oops. Yeah, this corridor right in here, I think, has a low chance, but a non-zero chance at some severe gusts. And then, yeah, we'll have to keep our eye on these storms overnight. I'm not going to stay up overnight, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to stay and watch a mesoscale convective system develop. It's going to be probably a little while until that happens. Let's see what the latest HRRR says. Let's see, HRRR forecast. Yeah, so it's doing pretty good. It's picking up on increasing chances of not really a organized system, but some increasing chances of storms in this area. And then yeah, by morning, by that 6 or 7 a.m., this run puts it a little bit further east towards the Branson area, Harrison, Arkansas, and then kind of swings it back through the northern parts of Arkansas. So I don't know. We may see a little bit of a cluster develop out of these, but it looks like in general it's going to be a stormy overnight from Springfield, Branson, Joplin, down through northwest Arkansas, and then into areas probably north and east of Tulsa, up through Fort Scott and Fredonia, Kansas. Not every one of these storms is going to be severe, but just like we're seeing with that Siloam Springs camera, is some of these could be. And yeah, models have been fairly consistent by morning at a fairly organized looking convective system pushing across northern Arkansas. Yeah, I still think we need a marginal risk probably in this area right now, like for overnight or for tomorrow morning, really. As these storms will probably fill into this area. And it looks like based on the model data, continue to push towards the south and east over the day tomorrow. So yeah, this area probably needs a marginal risk for some severe weather tomorrow. See if they add that in that 1 a.m. update. Yeah, I don't know. I was exaggerating because I don't even think, even on a slow night with not a lot of severe weather expected, I think there's still multiple people. So it's still a forecaster and a supervisor and stuff, like, so there's still multiple people, especially in an office like Tulsa when there are storms around, I don't know. But yeah, it'd be nice to just hear an explanation. It certainly wasn't bad radar data. I don't know if they had bad office data, but we were getting good radar data, so it certainly wasn't like a radar malfunction or anything like that. Yeah, it was so clear. And now it did wrap up very quickly. It only, and we noted it on the stream last night, is those all of those tornadoes last night were wrapping up very quickly. Most of them went from like little to no rotation on one scan, and then within a scan or two, within about 5 minutes, some of those were on the ground producing damaging tornadoes. So they were very quick to wrap up, but you could still see it starting to wrap up. And then the second tornado of the day went unwarned for less time, but the one that started down here near Harroldton was briefly unwarned as it kind of tracked up over the river bottoms, and then they added a warning for Van Buren area very quickly, within a couple minutes. But But you could see that area of rotation starting to tighten up, like over the central city area within the 5 or 10 minutes before that tornado started, like around Harroldton. So I think I even said it on the stream yesterday. Once it started to tighten up over central city, I think I mentioned something like, if I was in the warning office, I'd probably issue a tornado warning now. But they waited, and that's fine. That's on them. But they certainly should have had like a trigger on the finger, or a finger on the trigger, so when it tightened even further, they could push the warning out. But yeah, I don't know. Some questions there. I don't want to be too critical. I don't want to troll them or anything, but I think we should have more explanations to why mistakes are made and how mistakes can be corrected in the future. And that's not saying like fire everybody, or it could be like Moss said, if it is a budget or a staffing issue, then the solution isn't to blame the person who missed it. The solution is to probably hire more trained professionals. Still bowing out there towards Brandon, Manitoba, but that is starting to weaken. That's through the Brandon area now. Looks like those heaviest storms are now pushing north. So yeah, we're seeing weakening storms in Manitoba, much weaker storms in northern parts of North Dakota, some stronger storms around the Fort Yates area up towards areas east of Bismarck, but calming down. And then yeah, we'll watch for isolated severe storms across the Ozarks overnight and especially into tomorrow morning. Yeah. So a couple tornadoes, it looks like, confirmed in Arkansas already. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more confirmed. They've confirmed 3. I think there was probably between 3 and 6 tornadoes yesterday in Arkansas. Wow, every time I look up here, it's diminishing. I think we'll just wait and make sure they cancel this warning in about 5 minutes, and we'll see if they add a new warning down here. Wouldn't be surprised if they do. Yeah, that's it. I think that's all you need. Fairly straightforward. And I think by putting stuff like out that's very straightforward like that, you can help mitigate some of those people that go on social media and curse out the National Weather Service and say, what the F are you doing, and stuff like that, because you don't get as much reaction like that like with those NTSB reports. They're very straightforward. People can see what mistakes were made and what the chain of events led up to it, and can see what is being done to improve with new recommendations and stuff. And I think you see less by actually being so straightforward and matter of fact with a post-event report. I think that can help cut down on some of the trolling too. Versus like right now, for the National Weather Service, it's just a mystery. So then people, are going on and complaining about the National Weather Service office and cursing them out and stuff like that. I think these storms, at least right now, as they're not really organized, they're going to be more like popcorn storms, like this one that is severe warned on the Oklahoma border. strong storm. It's kind of actually diminished in intensity just in the last couple minutes. Kind of peaked there right when it got warned. A little bit of a hail core in there around Dripping Springs. And yeah, it's weakened just a little bit in the last couple scans, but still a strong storm with a lot of lightning. There's a look at Siloam Springs right there at the Oklahoma state line. Yeah, and what you were saying earlier, I feel really bad for Evan. I also feel bad for his community. So I don't know if you heard it earlier. When I was talking to Cruz earlier, Moss, I did post on Evan's post the other day when I saw his post about leaving YouTube, and I tried to walk like a fine line. I'm sure you can find the post if you want to read the whole thing, but I talked about how I found Evan's channel, and it was long after I started my channel, but I appreciated that his channel had a similar mindset and was kind of a breath of fresh air, and he was very straightforward and didn't really bend to a lot of the commercial pressures and some of the over sensationalism of some other channels. And then it was a pretty long post that I responded to on him because I wanted to make sure I wasn't trying to, I don't know, it was a tricky situation. I was trying to give him some comfort if he reads it, hopefully, but also I was trying to give some comfort to his community because I did see a lot of people were upset about it. So in like the second part of the post that I wrote, I said, like, to Evan's community, if here, let me just pull it up. Let me see. I won't read it all, but let me summarize what I said to him. In case anyone here is tuning in also after our live stream tonight, and if you're new, like and subscribe, click that bell icon, and get notified when we go live. But what did I say? Oh yeah, I said second to Evan's community. I won't pretend to be exactly the same as Evan or be a replacement for his channel. I said all of the other weather streamers have different experiences, personalities, and communication styles, but I can offer you a growing and supportive weather community that asks engaging questions, that's eager to learn about meteorology and severe weather, and is sensitive to storm anxiety, and a community that appreciates the no hype and science-based communications. I continued and I said, feel free to subscribe at WeatherCast Live or WXCast Live here on YouTube and follow on the same handles on Facebook and X. So, I don't know. I wanted to post something just so, again, not to just come in and swoop in and steal his fans, but hopefully anyone that reads that or sees this repeat of a live stream, hopefully his fans may know that there's a supportive community out there, and if you're interested in weather and I know some of his people do have a lot of storm anxiety, some of his regulars that probably aren't going to go back to some of the overhyped and over commercialized channels so hopefully they can find a new channel that does fit their weather needs, but also their personalities. Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people are going to take that as me trying to swoop in and steal all his followers, which is not the I mean, it'd be nice to get a few followers from him, but really it was about the community, and I do want his community to know that they have some supportive place to go. Stones. Yeah, Stones, you do have a little bit of storm anxiety, it sounds like. Just to be honest with you, if you don't know it already. Which is good. We have a lot of people that do. There are some professional storm chasers and some professional meteorologists actually that get into weather because they had storm anxiety as kids or younger people, or they went through horrible weather experiences as younger people or kids or their families. So yeah, storm anxiety is a serious thing, but it's also something that you can turn to positive, and just like a lot of things, I think if you learn more about what is causing the anxiety, it can help it can help some of the calmness of it. Although, I'll be honest, Stones, I have storm anxiety over large hail. It's probably the thing that I'm worried about the most is large hail because I keep my car tucked away, even at night, even on days there's not a lot of severe weather, because I don't want to like wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. and realize my car is just getting trashed outside. Um, yeah, so there's other people that may live on the coast and are concerned about flooding, or live on low-lying areas and are concerned about, and those are all valid things. So I think a lot of people have storm anxiety for a lot of different reasons, and a lot of it is very valid. All right. Yeah, we did lose our warning across northern parts of North Dakota. Yeah, and I think there's been a lot of, I think those like Weather Brains episodes and things. There's a lot of usually they'll ask some of the experts and stuff that come on like what got you into weather, and some will say like they were terrified of storms as kids and things, and so storm anxiety, just like a lot of anxiety in other subjects, you can turn it into a positive and you can learn more about what causes it, and yeah, sometimes that's motivation to learn more and actually take it to a career too. And then there's other people that are just completely fascinated by weather too as kids, and keep it going that way too. So we lost that warning in northern parts of North Dakota. We did pick up that warning, like I thought we may get out of this line now south of 94, a little bit more organized here into southern parts of North Dakota and across the state line. Severe warning there, 60-mile-an-hour winds and some small hail. Timber Lake up to the state line south of Fort Yates, North Dakota. This is an area that's a little further from the radar hole, or from the radar. Yeah. Yeah, gusty winds in there. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's true too. Stones is once you have kids, I'm sure that's anxiety about a lot of stuff, not just storms too, but yeah. Yeah, I've been fortunate. I haven't been through a lot of severe weather, like personally myself, other than like severe weather I chased, but I try and stay out of the worst part of the storms too, even chasing. But like my physical place has not been in a lot of severe weather, and been through a few hurricanes, few supercells, and luckily tornadoes have just missed my locations, and hurricanes haven't damaged anything, so been pretty lucky. Awesome. How's it going, Catman? Yeah, definitely. Just I would just stay with it, and yeah, keep pushing. The more you learn as young people, that can help, and then certainly it isn't the most interesting for a lot of people, but if you're interested in weather and want to pursue that as a career, definitely take as many math and science classes as you can while you're young and just prepare for those. And even if you're not great at math, there's still you just have to maybe work for it a little more. But there's definitely paths in weather. Don't let the math scare you away. But yeah, OU is a good program. I worry about tornadoes when I'm driving. I think I mean, I always have radar on me, but if it's a severe weather day and I'm not streaming, and I know I'm in a tornado prone area. I'll usually check my radar app just be while I'm running around or stuff, or if I'm traveling and I know I'm going through a tornado prone area, I'll just kind of make sure like I'm not driving into a tornado or a large hailstorm because I don't want to get my car trashed that way either. Yeah, Moss, that's a good point too. I think for as long as I've been into weather and radar, and even before I started streaming, I often texted my family, like not family I'm living with, but family like that I know around situations like, hey, you guys got tornado watch today and stuff like that. So I was always preparing like little, like way back, even little like family weather reports for family members and stuff. So that's something too that I think is a good point there. And I try to bring that up on stream sometimes too. If people tune in and we're covering something that's not in your particular area, but if you like and subscribe, you can also send our link over to family members too. So that's always a good thing. Like tonight, like there's not many people right now that are in severe weather, but if you see our link and send us up to someone in North Dakota, that's something they'll appreciate. Yeah, yeah, it's not the most interesting to a lot of people, the math, but you just got to kind of keep plugging away at it and try and find the connections to the things. Some actually, once you get into higher level math, it sometimes becomes easier to make the connection. Um, because if you're just doing like algebra problems and stuff, sometimes you may not be able to see the exact connection to meteorology. But once you start getting into like calc and trig and stuff, you can sometimes see some of those like physical connections that you and some of the calculations that take calc and trig and that kind of stuff. You can kind of see a little bit of a connection to it. I find myself because I'm not a giant favorite math person, but yeah, if I can make a connection, that that helps because then I don't feel like I'm doing just math for math. Oh, nice, that's fun. Yeah, I've heard of some other people that have done that, that have done like school weather reports and stuff, or if their school has, some high schools have their own like school news, either newspapers or radio or television. I've heard some people try and get some experience doing some forecasting for that too. So yeah, forecasting. I do think, and I do think if you're a young person and you're watching this stream or watching us on repeat, I do think there are a lot of younger people that are interested in going on for meteorology degrees that are jumping onto streaming or jumping onto social media and trying to be a social media weather person, which is fine. But social media is harsh sometimes, so be prepared to get critiques. Um, but I think also some people, and not everybody, are jumping on to try and like build their clicks and build their views and all that before they really get the background knowledge. And even if you're not ready to go to college yet, I do think it's good to learn knowledge first and then kind of work on your presentation of the knowledge. But some people are working on their presentation before they really have the knowledge, which is a little bit flipped around. Oh, that's right, Stones. Yeah, I forgot you're into the gaming side of stuff, the gaming streaming. Ooh, Wind is definitely picking up in this cell towards Napoleon through the Hazelton area. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a 60-mile-an-hour wind severe weather warning out of that. Botno recorded 75-mile-an-hour winds earlier. Let's see. 67 at Burley. So yeah, earlier this storm was really cooking. Oh, here's some new wind reports out of this severe warning area. Timberlake, 65-mile-an-hour winds just about 20 minutes ago. So yeah, definitely a worthy warning here. And that I think does help confirm that there could be some 60 to 65-mile-an-hour gusts in this whole kind of complex right in here. Southern parts of North Dakota, along and south of I-94, basically east of Bismarck through about Jamestown, and then down to areas around Mobridge in South Dakota. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a warning out of that. Oh, did they put one? Are they going to issue a watch? Let's see. Yeah, it's this area that we've been watching for a while. Scattered convection may occasionally become severe. Let's take a look at it. Watch probability about 40%, at least right now. Yeah, not much going on in there now. There's that one severe cell by Siloam Springs. That has calmed down just a little bit. Now over the Gentry area, it's still lightning in there, but that cell has actually probably gone below severe limits. They'll probably just let the warning kind of ride out. It expires in about 10 or 15 minutes, but yeah, this whole area has now a mesoscale discussion. Basically like that. Yeah. These are going to keep developing, I think. We noted that on the stream last night, too, that the models have actually been really consistent on this. They're just going to keep bubbling up overnight in this general area, northeast Arkansas, or northeast Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, southern Kansas, and southwest Missouri. But yeah, the latest modeling still takes kind of a convective system, eventually kind of organizing out of this mess. A morning convective system too, not an afternoon one. Still some model differences. This is the latest model. Actually, the latest model doesn't do as good of a job. I don't know if it's missing some of the storms further south. Models are not exact, but it is missing the cluster storms already ongoing there. And it presents a little bit of a weaker MCS. The last hour model run, the 03 triple HRRR, actually had better model placement of those cells, and actually had it kind of better. There's a little bit of a cluster there. There's kind of two distinct clusters currently that this model run had a little bit better sense of, so could be more accurate. We don't know yet, but if that one is more accurate, it looks like kind of those two clusters, a little bit of a boundary interaction between those, and this one creates a little bit of a stronger MCS that dives a little more southerly across northern Arkansas, still in the morning hours. A couple hours ago, this is the other HRRR, very similar modeling. So yeah, the models have generally been very consistent on this. Yeah, I'm concerned that really, even if it's not that severe, it's going to be, if the MCS does form, or this convective, or even if it's not a full MCS, but even if it's just rounds of thunderstorms and heavy rain in this area has had a ton of heavy rain over the last, actually a little while, but especially like the last couple days. There's still flash flood warnings in this corridor here. So yeah, definitely flash flooding, I think, is a big concern beyond just the severe threat. Like they're going to continue that warning across the Mobridge area of South Dakota. Yeah, we can take a look too. Let's see, rainfall. Let's see, check 72-hour rain. Yeah, there has been a lot of rain, huh? Yesterday, right? Yeah, this area has had a lot of rain. I didn't even realize that fully. 7.3, 6.7. Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. Also, this area in eastern Oklahoma and areas south of Fort Smith, also 5 to 6 inches of rain generally in these pretty hilly terrain in eastern Oklahoma. And then here's some of those newest rainfall across the Springfield area up towards Joplin, or not Joplin, but Jefferson City. 4 to 5 inches of rain up there. Yeah, this is it's been a rainy couple days. You can see how quickly those have developed just in the last hour or so. Yeah, that's about 11 o'clock. I guess about 2 hours. All right. Well, this warning should be expiring in the next 9 minutes. Looks like those storms are below severe limits. Still some thunder, lightning, and oh, hey, there's they just issued a watch. I just realized that. So new severe thunderstorm watch. Looks like they've upgraded from the mesoscale discussion. Oh, geez. Late night severe threat. So have multiple ways to get warnings. Severe thunderstorm watch for parts of Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma until 8 a.m. That includes Bartlesville, Pryor Creek, up to areas around Pittsburgh, Kansas, Joplin, Neosho, Northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville, Branson, Springfield, and that includes a couple tornadoes are possible, isolated hail up to ping pong ball size possible, and scattered gusts up to 65 miles an hour possible. So it's actually a fairly strongly, not a high-end watch, but an all hazards watch with tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds possible. And yeah, that goes through 8 a.m. in the Central Daylight Time. Yeah, and also there's going to be, especially up towards the Springfield area, there's going to be boundaries from those storms earlier too. So these can do some weird things overnight. And if it does organize into more of an MCS, you have the potential for little QLCS spin-ups on the leading edge of that too. All right. Well, about 10 to 1 o'clock. I think what the plan is right now, there's that new warning, 60 mile an hour winds, quarter size hail for that area around Steele and Napoleon. That was that area I was looking at on radar just a few minutes ago. Yeah, seems some 60 to 65 mile an hour winds. Nothing insane. Nothing like we've seen before in western parts of North Dakota, 98 mile an hour gusts. This little cluster could still continue on here with some standard severe weather. Make sure you have multiple ways to get warnings overnight. I think what I'm going to do is take a little bit of sleep while we kind of wait and see if an MCS develops out of here. And then we were possibly going to stream tomorrow afternoon and evening for those storms out in Colorado. We may have to have a morning stream possible if this actually does organize into a MCS. So we may be on for morning in storms if a MCS forms across northern Arkansas. Grab your coffee and donuts, and we'll track severe storms tomorrow morning, maybe. Thanks again, guys. Yeah, we covered a decent amount of severe weather. Had some good discussions as usual, so I appreciate all you guys. And Stones, you should be good for the evening. All this is to the south of you guys. It's not really going to make its way north. It's just going to kind of bubble up here and then eventually dive south. So, wow. Active area in the Ozarks the last 24 hours or so. Thanks, guys.